A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
Kroger Tender Ray Beef, no other beef so fresh can be so tender, presents Hearts in Harmony transcribed. Kroger Tender Ray Beef. It's delicious. Yes, that's the word for Kroger Tender Ray Beef. Delicious. Is it tender? Yes, ma'am. Melt in your mouth tender. Is it fresh? Yes, sirree. Wonderfully fresh. Kroger Tender Ray is the one beef that's always fresh, always tender. You know it's tender because by the original Kroger Tender Ray method, the top U.S. government grades of beef are made naturally tender without aging. You know it's always fresh because by the Kroger Tender Ray method, there's no need for wasteful aging, no time for loss of savory juice. Kroger Tender Ray beef is luscious red, rich in savory juices, and marbled with just the right amount of flavory fat. No other beef so fresh can be so tender. Yet it costs no more than ordinary beef. And listen, Kroger guarantees it's the best eating beef you've ever served or your money back. So visit your neighborhood Kroger store and buy your favorite cut. Remember, when it's Kroger Tender Ray beef, you know it's fresh, it's tender, it's delicious. Get Kroger Tender Ray beef, the finest beef value in town, at your Kroger store soon. And now, Hearts in Harmony. At last, the problem caused by Windy Day's burning puppy love for Penny Gibbs is solved. And it was Jed Billings, Penny's invalid foster father, who found the solution. It's a short while after Windy's breezy departure from the Gibbs home, and Penny, who left the house while Jed talked to the boy, has come back and says,
"But, Jed, how did you do it? What did you say to Windy?"
I told the boy that you were under the impression that he wanted to marry you, and you were not only willing but anxious.
Oh, Jed, you didn't.
I most certainly did. And he couldn't get out of here fast enough. He's well named, that lad, Windy. He went out of here with hurricane velocity.
Jed Billings, it's wonderful that you managed to do something about Windy, but I don't know why you had to tell him I was anxious to marry you.
Oh, I didn't say that in just so many words, but he got the idea I wanted him to get, that I was under the impression his intentions were serious and that he expected to marry you, but in the near future.
What did he say?
Well, between gulps of astonishment, he didn't say much of anything. He just gulped a little more. You know, in some ways, I'm sorry I told you to leave the house. You should have seen it. It was rather funny.
I really don't see anything funny about it, poor kid. You probably frightened him to death.
Oh, I don't know. I think I merely awakened him to the seriousness of love. I think I was harder on the subjects of marriage and mother-in-laws than I was on Windy.
What are you talking about?
Well, I described marriage to Windy as a man saddling himself with bills and the expensive demands of a wife.
Oh, Jed.
He saw rather quickly that he couldn't support you on $2.50 a week, even with an extra grass-cutting quarter every now and then.
Oh, you didn't say all that.
I certainly did, and it's a good thing Grace didn't hear what I said about her. I called her an old battle-axe type mother-in-law.
You are lucky she didn't hear you. She might have surprised you by showing you just what an old battle-axe she can be.
Oh, I think she might have understood my reason for that rather stock description of her as a mother-in-law. That's only an old-fashioned and comic version of what a mother-in-law is anyway, but obviously your boy lover reads the comics.
Well, if he hasn't lately, you've obviously sent him back to reading them. Oh, really, though, we shouldn't make such fun of poor Windy.
No, I suppose we shouldn't. I must say the lad is thoroughly honest. He didn't let me get too far with my plans for a wedding before he came right out and explained his intentions weren't quite that serious.
Oh, he's probably afraid to look at me. Or anyway, ashamed to.
Well, he might be a little at first, but he'll be around again before long.
I'm not in any great rush to see him, Jed, at least under the same circumstances.
Oh, I imagine his ardor has been cooled for some time, Penny. And by the time he again considers someone what he calls his destiny, I think Hazel Peters or someone in his own crowd will be his target then.
Oh, poor Wendy. I wonder if he went home and hid in a closet with fear.
I doubt it. He probably went right to the nearest telephone and called Hazel, or dropped in one of the young people's gathering places to have a reconciliatory soda with her.
Well, if he has been hurt or frightened, I'll make it up to him someday. Golly, I wish I'd hear from Hazel. That would prove that everything's all right again.
Oh, I imagine you'll hear from her soon with either an apology for the way she's acted or a request for aid to cure Wendy of his refusal to have anything to do with women from now till Judgment Day.
No, I don't think Wendy... Oh, startled me.
You think it's Wendy, don't you?
Oh, I don't know, but I'm afraid to look.
Oh, it's the postman, Chelsea. Look out the window.
Oh, yeah.
There he goes toward the house next door.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, see what's in the mail, will you? I'm expecting a reply on some building materials I ordered.
Yes, darling, I will. I'm kind of hoping for a certain letter myself, but I'm almost giving up waiting for it.
You still want to hear from Johnny Keith, don't you?
Yeah, I'm almost dying to.
Well, any mail for me?
Nope, I don't think so. There's just one...
And what?
Jed, it's from Johnny. It's from Johnny. Really, it's from Johnny. Look.
Who did you say the letter's from? A fellow named Oscar?
Oh, stop it, Jed. You're just teasing me for being excited, but I don't care.
Oh, I wouldn't say you're excited, but you could open that envelope a lot faster if you'd stop shaking.
Oh, I got it open anyway. Maybe he says when he's leaving South Africa. Maybe he's already on the way.
Now, you better read that letter.
Nothing but a note.
Well, now, many times a man can say more in a note and say it better than he can in a full-length letter. Does he say when he's coming home?
No, I'll read it to you. He says, Dear Penny, just a note to tell you I'll be leaving Cape Town soon. Have to admit I'm excited about it, too. I'll be in Rossville for just a visit, of course, but I'll tell you a little secret.
Well?
He says, deep down in my heart, I wish something would happen when I'm in Rossville to make me want to stay there forever. Love, Johnny.
And you were complaining because that was just a note. Why, if I ran the postal department, I wouldn't carry a letter with that much weight in it for less than triple the normal postage.
Oh, what's so weighty about it, Jed?
I refuse to believe you don't know. It's that part about wanting to stay here in Rossville. If something makes him want to stay.
Now, what possibly could make him want to stay?
It's not what. It's who.
Oh, you think so, do you? No, I couldn't make him stay here. Even if I could, I wouldn't. He'd be giving up too much, losing too much. And there's nothing here in Rossville to interest him anyhow. Certainly he's not interested in me.
Penny, where are you?
I'm in the kitchen, Pat, doing the dishes.
Penny, why didn't you tell me? Why'd you let her do it? And without even saying goodbye.
What in the world are you talking about?
I'm talking about Peg. She and Julie left town this morning.
Oh, you're joking.
I am not. You know it, didn't you? Didn't she tell you?
Well, no, I saw her after breakfast this morning, and then she took Julie to school. Oh, Pat, she hasn't left town. I'm sure she hasn't.
But she has. There was a note from her on my dresser saying goodbye.
But I don't believe it.
Well, here's the note, and you can believe it.
This is the strangest thing I've ever heard.
You aren't kidding.
No, wait a minute. I think, back about it now, it was strange for Peg to take Julie to school. She's never done that before. But how could she have left this morning? She didn't take luggage with her.
Oh, yes, she did.
Oh, but how could she? We'd have seen her, Pat. Besides, your clothes are still in the closet, and so are Julie's.
But she says in this note to me that she took only 2 small suitcases. She packed them last night and took them down to the station early this morning when we were all asleep.
Oh, I see. But why did she leave in such a strange way? And is she taking Julie to Hollywood?
Yeah, she's on her way to Hollywood now. Well, about the clothes she didn't take with her. Mm-hmm. She put some money in the envelope with her note and asks us to mail them to her.
All right, I'll do that today, but did she explain why she left without saying goodbye?
She just doesn't like goodbyes, I guess. And, well, I'm partly the reason.
Why are you partly the reason?
Well, you know, Penny, things between Peg and me were getting a little serious, and she suddenly decided she didn't want it that way.
Oh, Pat, I'm sorry.
Oh, don't be. I'm not. I think maybe Peg's right. We didn't love each other. We never really would have. Oh, if we'd married, it would have been nothing but a case of, Or a case of, sympathy for each other. Oh, it's just as well as she left. We'd have just made a big mistake.
Then you're not going back to your job in California, huh?
No, I think I'll stay here, if you'd like.
Pat, I'd love it. It was almost too much to hope for. Will you really stay? Will you? Honestly, really?
Well, after a reaction like that, what else can I do?
You better tell Mother she'll be thrilled. She wasn't going to say a word about it, but she didn't want you to go back to California.
I rather thought not. Oh, okay, I'll go break the news to her now. Her useless son will spend the rest of his years loafing around the Gibbs Dome.
You will not loaf, Pat Gibbs. If you stay in Rossville, you'll get a job.
Okay, slave driver.
Oh, golly, that's Joel. I promised to go out with him this afternoon. I forgot about it. Look at me. Just look at me.
What's been on your mind? That letter from Johnny Keith make you forget about Joel?
How did you know I had a letter from Johnny?
I saw it in your bedroom. I just saw it. I didn't read it. I'll go answer the door.
Will you, darling? And entertain him till I'm ready. I'm going to run up the back way and change. Can't let Joel see me looking like this. Joel, I've never known till now why some men spend hours watching the excavation for a building. But now I know. It's fascinating.
Want to go around to the other side and see what those men are building?
No, not right now. I guess we snooped enough for one afternoon. Oh, those poor workmen must feel like goldfish the way people gape at them.
Oh, they're probably used to it. Let's walk toward the park, huh?
All right. Oh, golly, it's a nice afternoon.
I know why it is, too. I think it's a great day because I'm out with you. You think it's wonderful because you heard from Johnny Keith.
Did I tell you I got a letter from him?
No, but Pat did. While you were upstairs getting dressed, Pat and I had a long talk about that letter. About Johnny and about you.
Oh, I see.
Penny, I'm not saying this because spring is almost here. I'm not saying this because I want to push you into anything.
Oh, Joel, this is no time to
There's
talk
no
about
such thing as a certain time, a certain place for anything like love. Love can overlook its time and place. Oh, Penny, there's no such thing as a romantic spot, except maybe in movies and storybooks.
I know that,
Penny,
Joel, but
Penny, I said I wouldn't push you, and I won't. I won't demand the answer now, right here, this very minute.
But when will you demand it? 3 or 4 minutes from now, on the next block?
Please don't make a joke out of it.
I'm sorry.
Penny, I want you to marry me. And I want an answer. Soon.
How soon?
Soon.
Well, why must it be soon?
Because I have to know. I can't go on day after day like this, wondering, hoping, never knowing. Can't you give me an answer soon?
Oh, Joel. Joel, just give me a little time. Just a little time.
So young Dr. Evans is pressing Penny for an answer. What will her answer be? Will she agree to marry Joel before Johnny Keith returns? Or is Johnny's return what she's waiting for this and for other reasons? Be sure to listen to the next dramatic episode of Hearts in Harmony. Kroger Tenderay Beef. It's delicious. Yes, delicious. Kroger Tenderay Beef is the best eating beef you ever tasted. Wonderfully tender, wonderfully fresh. Kroger Tenderay Beef is the one beef that's always fresh, always tender. No other beef so fresh can be so tender. Yet Kroger Tenderay Beef costs no more than ordinary beef. And listen to this. Not only does Kroger offer you the best eating beef you ever tasted, Kroger also offers you more meat for your money. You see, Kroger has a special way of cutting beef that gives you more meat, less waste. Before Kroger cut beef is weighed and priced, Kroger removes excess bone, excess waste, and stringy ends. That's before your purchase is weighed and priced, which means you get more meat for your money. So to get the most, to get the best, get Kroger Tenderay Beef. Ladies, remember, please, your Kroger store is the only place you can get Kroger Tenderay Beef. The one beef that's always fresh, always tender, always delicious. And your neighborhood Kroger store is where you get more meat for your money, because Kroger cut beef gives you more meat, less waste. Visit your neighborhood Kroger store soon and get the finest beef value in town. Kroger Tenderay Beef. Join us again tomorrow, same time, same station, for another thrilling transcribed chapter of Hearts in Harmony.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight, the Ray Bradbury story entitled, And the Moon Be Still as Bright.
The first 3 expeditions for Mars left Earth in a mushroom of flame, arced through the atmosphere, and finally dwindled to tiny specks in the big eye of the Mount Palomar telescope, and then were lost to sight forever. The prearranged landing signals flashed back to Earth, and then the radios went dead. One after the other, ships had disappeared and were never heard from again. But still the rockets came. The 4th expedition emerged from the silent gulfs of space, angled down toward the floating red disk of Mars, down into an orbit as the order came to land. The last blast of the bow jets broke red against the blue desert sands, and the ship slid to a halt at the edge of a vast city that reflected the icy glare of the moonlight. For a while, all was still.
All right, park you. Open the airlock.
Aye, sir. Fresh air. Hey, it's cold out here. Who cares? We got here. I thought I'd never hit solid ground again. Hey, how about a fire, Captain Wiley? It's freezing.
Later. We have work to do.
Oh, smell that air. Why, you could get drunk on it. Say, there's an idea. Why don't we break out a bottle and celebrate?
Biggs, there will be no drinking done until we're secured.
But we're landed, Captain.
3 other expeditions landed and disappeared within 24 hours. Now, we're not relaxing security till we find out what happened to them.
What do you mean, maybe Martians?
Sender, you're an archaeologist. How old would you say they are?
I can't tell till I study them more closely. It's a kind of engineering we couldn't duplicate on Earth.
Well, I'm not interested in the architecture now. I want to make sure there's nothing there that might be dangerous. Mr. Hathaway.
Yes, sir?
I want you and Spender to take a reconnaissance party into the city and find out what's there. We set up camp here. No man is to go more than 50 feet from this rocket. And there'll be no celebration till Hathaway and his party report back.
In the sea bottoms, the wind stirred along faint vapors, and from the mountains, great stone visages looked upon the silvery rocket and the small fire. The sky was black overhead, as the 2 racing moons threw knife-edged double shadows on the desert.
All right, come and get it. Ciao. Hey, what do you got these, Cherokee?
Sawdust, smothered in cold chicken fat.
Good. I thought it was something I couldn't eat. Hey, Captain. Mr. Hathaway's back.
Oh, Captain Wilder.
Oh, yes, over here, Mr. Hathaway.
Well, most of the city's dead. Spender says it's been dead a good many thousand years, but we found one part about a mile over.
What about it?
People were living in it last week, sir.
People? Martians. Where are they now?
Dead. We found bodies, thousands of bodies. They hadn't been dead more than 10 days.
What did they die of?
You won't believe it. What killed them? Chickenpox.
Chickenpox?
Yes.
Where could they get chickenpox?
From Earth.
the other rockets did get through.
Yes. I don't know what the Martians did to them, but I sure know what they did to the Martians. They gave them chicken pox and wiped them out. They just didn't have any resistance to an Earth disease.
Think of it, Captain. A race builds itself for 1,000,000 years, refines itself, does everything it can to give itself respect and beauty, and then it dies. Of what? It's like saying the Greeks died of mumps or the proud Roman Empire collapsed because of athlete's foot. We didn't even give them a decent excuse for dying. We just gave them chicken pox.
Spender, get hold of yourself.
You didn't see those bodies, Captain.
I know. It must have been a shock. You need a rest, a little relaxation. The Martians are dead. There's nothing you can do about that now.
Hey, you hear that? The Martians are all dead. Come on, let's break out a bottle and whoop it out. How about a case, eh?
Oh, good Lord. They have to do that now? Isn't there time later to throw old beer cans into the canals?
Spender, you're an idealist. They're not. All they know now is that they're safe. Little shouting won't hurt. You think too much.
How safe on Mars? The first Earthmen on Mars. We're going to celebrate. Yahoo!
20 bottles were opened and drunk. The voices got louder. The earth laughs and shouts echoing across the empty Martian sands. Spender listened to the wind over his ears, cool and whispering. He felt the land getting cooler. The stars grew closer, very near. The air smelled clean and new. He looked at the cool ice of the white Martian buildings over there on the empty sea land.
Oh, what a woman! Hey, what do we do with these empty bottles?
Save them, stupid. There's a 2-cent deposit.
Wait. How about that building? 2 to 1 on a buck. I can heave one right through that window.
You're on.
All right, here goes. Hey, double or nothing on the next shot.
Put that bottle down, Biggs.
Who's there, Mr. Spender?
Stop smashing those windows.
What's the difference? The planet's ours now. I guess I can do anything with it I want.
Drop that bottle or I'll knock your teeth out.
Yeah? Just watch me.
I warned you, Big.
Come on. What's going on here? Spender!
I hit him.
He's crazy, Captain. He just walked up and slugged me.
All right, Biggs. Spender, you come with me. Now, suppose you explain. What was the idea?
The noise, the drunken brawl.
Spender, the men are tired. This has been a long trip. And you have a different way of seeing things.
No, I'm seeing things all right. I'm seeing how we'll ruin Mars. We'll rip it up and rip the skin off the way we've already ruined Earth.
Is that why you hit Biggs?
Yes. I couldn't stand the idea of them watching us make fools of ourselves.
Them?
The Martians. They're dead. They're all dead. But they know we're here. Doesn't an old thing always know when a new thing comes? We've come a long way to smash their windows and spit in their wine.
Well, maybe you're right. But I'm still going to fine you $50 for that fight. Now, come on, Spender. Suck in your chin. We'll go back there and play happy.
Now they moved out into the moonlight across the desert. They made their way into the dreaming, dead city. The light of the racing twin moons glinted on the barrel of a pistol, the long blade of a machete, the round, gurgling shape of a raised bottle. The wind blew in from the Dead Sea bottom and brushed through the silvery wire filigree of the towers. Strange music drifted down to the double-shadowed streets, a thin, haunted music that played as it had played through the uncounted years of time. Nobody moved. The moons held and froze them. The wind beat slowly around them.
Biggs, I just want to make a little noise. What kind of a celebration is this, anyway?
Come on.
They built this city thousands of years ago. And now where are they? How did they die?
Who cares? They're dead. That's good enough for me.
Lord Byron.
What?
Lord Byron, a 19th century poet. He wrote a poem that fits this city. Might have been written by the last Martian poet. So we'll go no more a-roving so late into the night. Though the heart be still as loving, though the moon be still as bright. For the sword outwears its sheath, and the soul outwears its breast. And the heart must pause to breathe, and love itself must rest. Though the night was made for loving, and the day returns too soon, yet we'll go no more a-roving by the light of the moon.
Without a word, the Earthmen stood in the center of the city. It was a clear night. There was not a sound except the music of the wind. At their feet lay a tiled court, worked into the shapes of ancient animals and images. They stood there, silvered by the double moons beneath the crystal towers of Mars. And then Biggs was sick, and the sour stench of liquor filled the cool air. The men of Earth had come to Mars. And Spender turned and walked away into the city, alone in the moonlight, never once stopping to look back. It was a morning that might have been a Monday, or a Tuesday, or any day on Mars. Biggs was on the canal rim, his feet hung down in the cool water, soaking, while he took the sun in his face.
Hey, what are you doing back here, Biggs? Didn't you go out with the search party?
Yeah. I come back. I got a blister.
Oh, yeah. Here.
What do you mean? Look. Look, Cherokee, see that? Anyway, I had enough searching. 4 days hunting for that screwball Spender.
Didn't find him yet, huh?
Oh, good riddance. Oh, my feet. I'm going to soak them in the canal. If I was Wilder, I wouldn't worry about that nut Spender. Let him go. He's a cracked pot anyway.
He's a little foggy upstairs, I guess. Hey, why don't you take your feet out of that canal, Biggs? I got to make coffee out of that water.
Coffee? You call that stuff coffee? I had a motorcycle once that dripped grease that tasted better than...
Wait a minute, Biggs. Hey, look over there.
Where?
By that bush. There's someone there.
Hey.
It's him. Hey, Spender!
Spender?
He's coming over.
Why didn't he stay lost, that crazy jerk?
Hi, Spender. Long time no see.
Hello, Cherokee. I've been exploring some ruins.
Oh, you and them ruins. You're like a dog in a boneyard. What's the matter? Well, just say something. Where you been?
Up in the hills. What would you say if I told you I found a Martian?
Oh, yeah?
Where?
Never mind. Let me ask you a question. How would you feel if you were a Martian and people came to your land and started to tear it up?
I know how I'd feel. I've got Cherokee blood in me. My grandfather told me a lot of things about the way they kicked the Indians around in the Oklahoma Territory. If there's any Martian around, I'm all for him.
How about you, Biggs?
They're dead. They're all dead. It's a good thing, too.
Well, I found a Martian. Up in a dead town in the hills. I've been reading their books, and they're easy to understand. And I've learned their language. And then I found this Martian. And I brought him here, now.
I don't see no Martian.
I'm the last Martian.
What did you say?
Biggs, I'm going to kill you.
Oh, cut it out. What kind of a lousy joke is that? Now, don't put that gun away. You're kidding, huh? Spender, you're...
He's dead. You killed him.
You can come with me, Cherokee. You're an Indian. You know how the Martians would feel. You can be with me in this.
You killed him. You just killed him.
He deserved it.
You're crazy.
Maybe I am. But you can come with me.
Come with you for what? Go on, get out of here, you crazy murderer.
For all of them, I thought you'd understand. I thought you'd remember what happened to your own people.
You get out of here, you crazy murdering. Don't reach for the gun. Spender.
break out the arms locker. Issue pistols, rifles, and grenades.
Yes, sir?
And you'd better get the Bible out of the navigation chest. We have to bury these two. Now, Proctor, you start digging a grave.
How about Spender?
We'll have to go up in the hills and find him.
Just let me at him with my bare hands, a crazy murdering louse.
That's enough, Parkhill. Man is sick. He must be...
Sick my eye. He's
That's enough. Now grab a shovel and start digging.
Spender saw the thin dust rising in the valley, and he knew the pursuit was beginning. The sun burned farther up the sky, and the blue sand drifted lazily across the sea bottom below. He sat beside a quiet pool 10,000 years old and held the silver book. Through the house played the strange wind music of ancient Mars, and he heard voices whisper in his mind.
I hear you. I've always heard you, even down there on Earth. No, I won't run. What's the use?
Live, Earthman.
Live? What for? To see them tear down your temples and put up hot dog stands? They've seen me now. They know I'm up here. There's Wilder now. I've got him right in my sights.
Kill, Earthman. Kill.
Funny, he hasn't ordered them to use grenades. They could lob one right up here and blow me to bits. Maybe the captain thinks I'm too nice to be blown to bits. He wants my death to be clean. Just one bullet hole in me, nothing messy. And why? Because he understands me. The only one in the crew who ever did. Well, at least I can do the same for him. Just one bullet in his head, a nice clean death. All I have to do is pull the trigger and it's no use. I can't do it to him.
Spender! Can you hear me, Spender?
I hear you, Captain. What do you want?
Talk! Truce!
All right. Come on up. Leave your gun down there and keep your hands up.
Oh. That's quite a climb. You mind if I sit down? How long do you think you can hold out?
Until you're all dead.
Oh, why didn't you kill all of us this morning when you had the chance? You could have.
I know. I got sick. After I started killing people, I realized they were just fools and I shouldn't be killing them, but it was too late. So I came up here where I could get angry again.
Why did you do it?
When I was a kid, my folks took me to visit Mexico City. Now, always remember the way my father acted, loud and big. And my mother didn't like the people because she thought they didn't wash enough. I can see my mother and my father coming to Mars and acting the same way. Anything that's strange is no good to us. We aren't fit to take over this planet.
But to kill two men.
How would you feel if a Martian spit on the White House floor?
You know, you haven't acted very civilized yourself.
I'll kill you all off, Wilder. That'll delay the next rocket 5 years, and then I'll kill them, too. And if I'm lucky, I'll live to be 60. And I'll meet every expedition that lands on Mars. Oh, I'll be very friendly. I'll explain our rocket blew up one day. And then I'll kill them off. I'll save Mars for half a century. And by then, maybe the Earth people will give up.
And yet you're outnumbered. We already have you surrounded. In an hour, you will be dead.
I found an underground passage that'll take me back in the hills, Wilder. I'll go back there. And then I'll pick you off one by one.
We'll see. Well, it's a nice town you've got here, Spender. It's beautiful. I'd like to live here.
You can. Join me. You're not like them. Why go back to them, Captain? I'll show you what a good life these people had.
No, there's too much earth blood in me. I may even agree with you about all this, but that does not change what I must do.
You won't stay?
No. This is your last chance, Spender. Look, you're sick. Now come along with me quietly.
No. One last thing. If you win, do me a favor. Try to see that they don't tear this planet apart.
Right.
And if it helps, just think of me as a very crazy fellow who went berserk one summer day. Be easier on you that way.
Now, I'll think that over. So long, Spender.
Bye, Captain. Good luck.
The men spread out again, walking and then running on the hot hillside places where there would be sudden cool grottos that smelled of moss, and sudden open blasting places that smelled of sun or stone. The men ran and ducked and ran and squatted in the shadows.
I'll blow his brains!
Captain Wilder hugged the rock warmed by the sun. He gasped, for the air was thin and not meant for running. Spender lay at the top of the hill, and a gap in the rocks showed the white of his shirt against the shadows. Wilder looked at the towers of the little clean Martian village, like sharply carved chess pieces lying in the afternoon. He saw the rocks, and the interval between, where Spender's chest was revealed.
Go on, Spender. Get out. You only got a few seconds to escape. Go on, get out of the caves. Come back later. You go now. I've got to win this. I've got to think that I'm right and pull this trigger. Go now. Get out.
I'll get him! A slug in the head, I'll blow his bloody brains!
No, fuck you! Put down that gun. I'll do this myself. Spender. Why didn't you get out? Why? Why? Why?
They buried him in that ancient valley town, where the music of the wind played on through the days and the nights. They laid him in an ancient silver sarcophagus with waxes and wines which were 10,000 years old, his hands folded on his chest. The last they saw of him was his peaceful face in the cold silver light of the racing twin moons. The captain found the poem in Spender's pocket, and he read it before he shut the marble door.
So we'll go no more a-roving so late into the night. Though the heart be still as loving, and the moon be still as bright. Though the night was made for loving, and the day returns too soon, yet we'll go no more a-roving by the light of the moon.
The next afternoon, Parkhill did some target practice in one of the dead cities, shooting out the crystal windows and blowing the tops off the fragile towers. Captain Wilder caught Parkhill and nearly knocked his teeth out.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you the Ray Bradbury story, And the Moon Be Still as Bright, adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in the cast were John Larkin, Clark Gordon, Dick Hamilton, Nelson Olmsted, Lawrence Kerr, and Stan Early. Your narrator was Norman Rose. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
Countdown for blast-off. X -5, -4, -3, -2,
X-1. Fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company presents X-1. Tonight's story, No Contact. It was in the year of 1982 that spacemen first discovered the Great Galactic Barrier. In the past 10 years, rocket travel to the moon and the nearer planets had become commonplace. And then men fixed their sights on a more distant star, the remote planet known as Volta. 5 exploratory ships went out, and none came back, each in turn disappearing mysteriously at the same vanishing point, at an invisible wall somewhere in the vast outer reaches that became known as the wrecker of spaceships, the Galactic Reef. And yet, the explorers refused to admit defeat. It was on June the 2nd, 1987, that the rocket Star Cloud made ready for takeoff, the 6th to attempt to crack the barrier and win through to Volta.
Now hear this. Condition green. 2 minutes to blast off. Condition green. 2 minutes to blast off.
Well, Lewis, this is it. I don't suppose you'll be needing the ship's doctor up here on the bridge during blast-off.
I think not, Smitty. There's little chance of acceleration bends in these new overdrive ships.
I'll be in my office then, counting vitamin pills if you need me. It's only a few steps. Good luck, Lewis.
Thank you, Smitty. Lieutenant Collier.
Yes, sir?
You're relieved. You'd better get down to navigation control and take over.
Yes, sir.
Lieutenant.
Yes, sir?
We've never flown together before. This is your first flight in a space vessel as big as the Star Cloud.
Yes, sir, but I was trained in oversized jobs at the Naval Academy.
Well, if you're half as good a navigator as your father was, you'll do fine.
Thank you, sir. Did you ship out with my father?
I served under him on one of the first rocket runs to the moon.
I see.
I almost went along on his last trip to the barrier. Too bad about that.
Yes, sir.
That's all, Collier.
Lieutenant Paulson.
Get me the ground control tower on the field. I want to talk to Colonel Harrison.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir. I've patched in the bridge speaker.
Colonel Harrison?
Yes, Captain?
We're standing by for takeoff in 30 seconds.
Good. The field's cleared of all personnel. We'll try to reestablish radio contact immediately after takeoff. In any event, there'll be a 24-hour ground monitor.
Fine.
Good luck. Hope you make it.
Thank you. Bridge to navigation control.
Nav control, Collier.
Ready, Lieutenant?
We're ready, Captain. The course is in the integrator for takeoff at 1200 hours.
All right. Stand by for blastoff. Bridge to engine room. Fire up your rocket chambers. Take off at exactly 1200 hours. I'll read you off. 20 seconds. 19. 18. 17. 16. Hold it. Revoke all orders. Who turned in that alarm?
Paulson, sir. We've uncovered a stowaway.
Stowaway? Where?
Hiding in sickbay. Dr. Smithson found him.
Have him brought up to the bridge. Engine room, kill your rockets and stand by.
Thorson, this is Colonel Harrison in ground control. What's holding you up?
Trouble.
What's the matter with you?
What's the matter with you? There's a stowaway aboard.
Stowaway?
Yes, I thought your men were supposed to police this base. What's the matter with you?
Captain, take it easy.
You know what this delay can do to us, don't you? 1 minute later, takeoff can throw us 1,000,000 miles off course. We'll have to reintegrate the whole works.
Well, look, how long do you think it'll take?
Don't bother for me for a while. I'm busy. Stupid idiot.
Captain Paulson?
Yes, come in, Smitty.
Here's your stowaway.
I'll court-martial... Oh, Charlie.
Can you use a good radio man, Skipper?
Well, I see you two have met.
Met. Skipper and me made 50 trips to the moon together. Didn't we, Skipper?
Charlie, if you wanted to come along, why didn't you volunteer?
I did, Skipper. They turned me down.
Oh, what's wrong with you?
Acceleration bends. They said my arteries wouldn't stand another trip.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
But they're wrong, Skipper. I got one more good trip in me. Listen, Skipper, you
You know that these green kids, they don't know the first thing about space radio operation. Now, you put a man like me on, and I'll be getting you bedtime stories from Mars.
Charlie, you know the regulations as well as I do. I can't take you much as I'd like to.
Colonel Harrison will murder me for this.
Well, I'm sorry, Charlie. I'll have you put aground. I'll tell you what, I'll ask Harrison to put you on his ground radio contact, and it'll seem as if you're right here with us.
He won't do it, sir.
Well, he'd better. I'll have him busted to corporal for letting you sneak aboard. Look, Charlie, you better be off. Paulison.
Yes, sir.
I'm sending this man aground. Give him time to clear the launching platform.
Yes, sir.
So long, Charlie. I'm sorry.
Good luck, Skipper.
I thought you were going to have him drawn and quartered.
If it had been anyone else, I would have, Smitty. But Charlie, well, he's kind of special. He's been with me since my first command when we began the regular run to the moon. And if he wanted to come along this time, well, it's only through loyalty to me.
You know, Lewis, I didn't realize it before, but you're almost human.
Captain Dawson, nav control, call you.
Oh, yes, Lieutenant. How badly are we fouled up? Can you recalculate the course, or shall I cancel the takeoff?
I've already plotted a new course on the integrator, sir. If we take off in exactly 30 seconds, we'll need to correct for only a 1-degree deflection. I can do that before we reach the stratosphere.
That's quick work. Are you sure?
Yes, sir. Positive, sir.
All right, Collier. I'm putting it in your hands. We'll blast off on your signal. Bridge to engine room. Prepare to blast off on navigator's signal. How are we doing, Collier?
Coming on the bearing, sir. That's 4, 3, 2, 0. We've intersected the course vector.
Good work, Collier.
Course is corrected, sir. We're ready to go into atomic overdrive anytime you say.
All right. Stand by.
Yes, sir.
Now hear this. Now hear this. Prepare for maximum acceleration. Bridge to engine room. Kill your rockets.
Rockets out.
Fire up number 1 cyclotron.
Number 1 ready.
Fire up number 2.
Number 2 ready.
Withdraw your dampening rods.
Fission chamber ready. Blast tubes cleared. All generators operating at capacity. Take it over, sir.
Go into overdrive at the count of 0. 3 seconds, Mr. Collier.
3,
2,
2,
1, 0.
0.
How are we doing, Collier?
On course, sir. She's running hot and true.
My compliments, Lieutenant. This job would have done your father credit, and he was the best navigation officer I ever saw.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Start your gyros. Put her on robot control. All right, the bridge is yours, Mr. Collier. If you need me, I'll be in Dr. Smithson's office.
Yes, sir.
I see you got us off the ground.
You can thank young Collier for that. Ship off the old block.
You knew his father?
As a matter of fact, I knew him very well. First-rate spaceman.
Oh, is he the one
Yes. He was lost in the galactic barrier on the second ship we sent out to Volta.
Lewis, just what do you think this galactic barrier is?
Oh, your guess is as good as mine, Doc. All I know is that 5 ships have gone into it, and none of them have come back out.
You think it's a nit? How about Mestrovic's theory that it's a time warp in space? That the ships reach it and slip into another dimension?
I think that's a lot of rubbish. My theory is that the galactic barrier is nothing more than a radioactive layer of some kind.
Why do you say that?
Well, we know that radar signals bounce off it like they were hitting an invisible glass wall. And we know that it destroys our ships and crews in some way. There's no other logical explanation.
What makes you think we can get through it, Lewis?
Because we're ready for it. The others weren't. The entire hull of this ship is completely shielded with lead. We can crack through any radioactive cloud ever detected. Besides, we're equipped with some new UHF radio devices that should enable us to maintain radio contact with Earth. Nothing can happen. Absolutely nothing.
Now, who are you trying to convince?
Well, myself, I suppose.
Lewis, you've had your share of glory. First skipper to reach the moon back in 1962. You could have retired. Why are you risking this trip?
5 ships are missing. Men like Prentice, Margetson, young Collier's father. I'm tired of seeing good men fed into that meat chopper.
Then why are we going to Volta?
We haven't any choice, Smitty. We're in a race, the kind of race where men and ships are expendable. According to the Interspace Code, the first nation to reach Volta can claim it.
Well, personally, I want no part
Now,
of it.
Doc.
I'll have to play physician, morale builder, and mother substitute for 112 slightly nervous men.
Well, your morale doesn't sound too good, Doc.
As morale officer, I can state without fear of contradiction, it is terrible. And something tells me as we approach that galactic barrier, I'm not going to be alone.
Hello, Earth. Hello, Earth. Captain Thorson of the Star Cloud calling Earth.
Hello, Star Cloud. Hi, Captain.
Charlie. Well, I see they haven't court-martialed you yet.
No, sir, thanks to you.
Well, it's good to hear you. You can read us the funny papers on Sunday morning.
All right.
How's our signal?
Strong. Clear as a bell.
Now, here's our log report for Colonel Harrison. You ready?
Shoot.
June 2nd, 1987. 4 weeks out from Earth. Running through. No radiation. Operation normal. Still making our approach to the galactic barrier. That's all, Charlie. See you later.
Good luck, Captain. I sure wish I was with you.
How's the morale, Smitty?
The men know we're getting closer to the barrier. They're beginning to show a little tension, Lewis.
Oh, how's their physical condition? Any sickness?
About half the crew has come down with space blues.
I was afraid of that. Are they bad?
Same as usual. Lips and hands with a bluish cast. Eyes are sensitive to infrareds.
I don't know. When I first started flying these tin cans, nobody ever heard of space blues.
Well, now there's a theory it's caused by the terrific acceleration of atomic overdrive. Change in gravity affects the circulation.
What do you think?
I think it's psychosomatic. I've noticed that the same men who get space blues under tension on a ship tend to get blue coloration back on Earth when they're upset. I guess it's just an occupational disease of space navigators.
You think it's just nerves, then?
Well, young Collier's got a bad case. I think it's tension from overwork.
Maybe he needs some vitamins.
Louis, when will you realize that vitamins are not a panacea for all the troubles of mankind?
Sir, I understand that you've relieved me from duty.
Well, Dr. Smithson says you aren't looking very well, Collier. I'm giving you a rest.
Sir, I feel perfectly able to continue.
Your lips are as blue as Minnetonka.
Captain, I'd like to remain at my post.
Don't be foolhardy, Lieutenant.
I'm not being foolhardy, sir. I have a special, personal reason for wanting this expedition to reach Volta.
Your father?
Yes, sir.
You think he might still be alive?
I have to find out what happened, sir.
I think I understand. Very well, Collier. Report back to duty. What's the reading, Paulson?
We're getting at +5 radar bounce now. Coming off the barrier almost as fast as we sent it out.
What's the interval?
2 seconds. Shortening steadily. At this rate, we'll hit the wall in the next few minutes.
All right. Alert the crew. Sound general quarters.
Now, hear this. Condition red. We are now approaching the galactic barrier. All hands to stations. All radiation detectors to be fully manned. Full security will prevail until further notice. That is all.
Paulson.
Yes, sir?
The radar bounce is up to +6. We'd better try to make final contact with Earth. Is Sparks still trying to raise the base?
Yes, sir, but he's not having much luck.
Huh?
Seems to be some interference. Oh, that's the radio room now. Yes? You got him? Well, cut in on the bridge speaker. Captain will take it from here.
Hello? Star Cloud to Earth. Can you hear me, Earth?
Hello, Skipper. I can barely read you. We're getting heavy static from sunspots.
That's not sunspots, Charlie. We're right on top of the galactic barrier. Getting a +7 radar bounce. Expect to hit the barrier almost any second now.
Good luck, Skipper.
If we crack the barrier and come through still in one piece, I'll try to get back to you on the high-frequency band.
Got you, Skipper. Don't worry. I'll be waiting.
So long, Charlie.
So long, Star Cloud.
Must be getting awfully close now, Captain. Echo's bouncing back so fast it's almost beating the signal.
When they go inside, hold on to your hat. That's when we run into the wall.
Any second.
Hold on.
Oh, here goes nothing.
Here it comes.
Captain.
Nothing happened.
We made it. We made it, Captain. No radiation, no time warp, no nothing. Now, the crew's gone crazy, sir.
Let them. They've earned it. Doc, can you break out a few bottles of snakebite serum for medicinal purposes?
I sure can, Louis.
This calls for a celebration. How's your morale now?
It couldn't be better. How's yours?
Couldn't be better. What the...
Condition red. Condition red. Radiation detected. Condition red. Radiation detected.
Holy mackerel. Look at the needle on that indicator.
Paulson.
Yes, I see it, Captain. Picking radiation like crazy.
What's it like?
Well, it's a strong impulse.
What kind?
I don't know. It's too long for a cosmic ray, too short for UHF. Whatever it is, sir, the ship is lousy.
Well, track it down, triangulate it, and make it fast. I want a directional fix.
Yes, sir.
Engine room.
Yes, sir.
We're picking up radioactivity. Is the fission chambers?
No leak here, sir.
Check your gauges.
Nothing here, Captain. Must be coming from outside.
Damage control. Is our lead shield leaking radiation? Well, keep at it. Paulson, how are you doing?
I've got it fixed, Captain.
Well, what is it?
Well, I'll have to recheck my figures.
Oh, hurry it up.
Angle is correct, but I
Come on, man, for Pete's sake. Where's the radiation coming from?
Sir, it's coming from inside the ship.
That's impossible.
No, sir, I've checked it twice.
Well, it's got to be the engines, then.
If it is, sir, we're finished.
Engine room.
Yes, sir.
That radiation must be in the overdrive pile.
No, sir, it isn't here, sir.
Are you certain?
Yes, sir.
All right, keep checking. There's only one thing left to do. Paulson, get a Geiger counter. We're going to start combing this ship inch by inch.
Yes, sir.
All right, turn it on.
Yes, sir. All right. Ready, Captain.
We'll check the atomic guns first. Come on. We'll cut through the officers' quarters here to ordnance. Now turn here.
Oh, wait a minute, sir.
Huh? What is it?
The signal's weaker now.
Yeah. Let's go back. Hold it. Seems strongest right about here.
Oh, it doesn't make sense.
Whose cabin is this?
Lieutenant Collier's.
Collier?
Oh, he's down in that control, sir.
Oh, try the door.
It's not locked, sir. Oh, it's in here, all right. Listen to that counter. Strongest over here.
Open that wall cabinet.
It's locked,
Oh,
sir.
smash it. Shut off that Geiger counter. Now, what do you make of this, Paulson?
Oh, it looks like some sort of portable transmitter, sir. Must be foreign manufacture. I don't recognize the calibration symbols at all. I've never seen anything like it.
Which raises a small question. What is Lieutenant Collier doing with a transmitter in his cabin?
I don't know, sir.
Well, I intend to find out, Paulson. Get down to nav control and bring Collier up to the bridge on the double.
Well, hadn't we better find some way to shut this thing off first?
I know a way. Lieutenant Collier, I'm going to ask a few simple questions, and I want a few simple answers.
Yes, sir.
What were you doing with a transmitter in your cabin?
Transmitter, Captain?
Oh, you know nothing about it?
Oh, no, sir, I don't.
Do you recognize these calibration symbols?
No, sir.
Can you think of how it might have been placed in your cabin without your knowing it?
No, sir, unless someone came in while I was on duty.
Would that have been possible?
I suppose so, if someone had a key.
I found your cabin door unlocked.
Well, I meant a key to the wall cabinet.
I didn't say the wall cabinet.
Well,
You what, Lieutenant? How could you have known it was in the wall cabinet?
Well, I just assumed, sir.
Lieutenant Collier, I find it hard to believe you would lie. Having known and respected your father, having observed the way you handle your job. However, I intend to get to the root of this thing. May I have your wristwatch, Lieutenant?
Sir?
Your wristwatch.
Yes, sir.
Paulson, turn on that Geiger counter.
Yes, sir.
Hold this watch next to it.
Yes, sir.
That's all. Lieutenant, if you hadn't any close contact with that transmitter, how do you explain the radioactivity of this watch?
Well, I don't, sir.
I think you'd better. To whom were you sending those signals?
Condition red. Condition red.
There's your answer, Captain.
What is this, Collier?
Alien spaceship approaching. Alien spaceship approaching.
Collier, who's aboard that ship? All right, now talk!
Very well, Captain. My mission seems completed.
Your mission? Are you admitting that you're an agent of a foreign power?
I'm stating it.
What nation?
No nation, Captain.
What?
I am an agent of the Voltan government.
No, what?
The government of the planet of Volta.
You're crazy.
Are you so stupid, Captain? Did you think your people are the only ones who can invade another planet?
What do you mean?
We've had agents operating on Earth since 1945.
I don't believe you.
What do you think happened to those 5 ships, Captain? Where do you suppose we got our information? Your language, your culture, family background.
Your appearance, you look like...
Like Commander Collier? Well, is that so surprising, Captain? You see, Captain, we had a living model.
I ought to kill you.
That would be very foolish, Captain. I would advise you to surrender without delay.
Alien ship now coming into ordnance range.
I'll deal with you later, Collier. Paulison?
Yes, sir.
Put this man in irons. Take him away.
Don't worry, sir. We'll take good care of him.
Carpenter,
Gunnery.
Gunnery, Richardson.
What's the range?
10,000 meters. They're closing fast.
Put your guns on radar tracking.
Tracking. Coming on the bearing.
Fire. Fire, Richardson. Richardson, did you hear me? Fire! What's the matter down there? Did you hear me? Richardson, answer me.
It's no use to shout, Captain.
Collier, how did you get loose? Where's Paulison?
Lieutenant Paulison is dead.
All stations! Lieutenant Collier has escaped. Seize him, men.
Don't waste your breath. Your men can't hear you, Captain.
What?
Those still alive are my men.
You're lying.
No, Captain. Every ship that has ever left Earth was controlled by a Voltan crew.
That's impossible. Those were hand-picked men.
Hand-picked by us.
I don't believe you.
No? Then why not call for help?
Carpenter, Robinson, Haley, report.
You see, Captain?
Carpenter, Robinson, Haley.
It's quite useless, Captain. I would advise you to sit very quietly and do nothing.
Very well, Collier. You've beaten us. What now?
The ship will be taken to Volta for, shall we say, further experimentation.
I see. Of course, there's one thing you hadn't counted on.
Just what is that, Captain?
Carpenter! Are you in there, Lieutenant Carpenter? They can't all be dead. There must be one alive. Smitty, Dr. Smithson! Smitty, what have they done to him?
Louis,
dirty. Don't talk.
I must lean closer. There's not much time. Louis, space blues.
Space blues? What is it, Smitty? What are you trying to tell me?
All men with space blues. Voltans.
Let me help you.
No, Louis. Get message back to Earth. Voltan, 5th column. Watch out for space blues.
Smitty. Oh, Smitty.
Captain Thorson, you can't hide from us now. Come back to the bridge and surrender, or my men will come and get you.
Hello. Star Cloud calling Earth. Oh, please, God, let me get through. It's too late. Hello. Star Cloud to Earth. Come in, please. Come in, please.
Hello. Star Cloud to Earth. Captain Thorson calling. Charlie, come in, please. Hurry.
Hello?
Oh, hello. Can you hear me, Charlie?
Skipper, is that you?
Are you getting my signal?
It's coming in a little louder now, Skip. Keep sending.
God, now look, Charlie, listen to me. Not much time. Get word to Colonel Harrison. Crew mutinied. Most of crew members, Fultons.
What?
Fultons.
Spell that.
V-O-L...
Fultons.
That's right. They're from the planet Volta.
Skipper, are you all right?
Now, Charlie, this is serious. They'll be here any second. Now, listen, they have a fifth column on Earth. They're planning to invade you.
You mean it?
Of course I mean it. Tell Harrison, posing as humans. You can detect them by space blues. You got that? Only Fultons get space blue. Charlie, did you hear me?
Space blue. I get you.
They're breaking in, Charlie. I'm depending on you. Warn everybody.
Captain.
They're open the door. So long, Charlie. Tell Harrison.
Captain Thorson. Hello. Hello, Star Cloud.
What's the trouble, Sergeant?
I was just trying to raise a star cloud, Colonel.
Had any luck?
No, sir. No contact.
No contact, eh?
No, sir.
Nearly an hour since they hit the galactic barrier. I don't understand why they haven't tried to get a message back.
No, sir. Neither do I.
Oh, all right. I'll take over for a while.
Yes, you do that, sir. It's all yours.
Right. Oh, and Charlie, you better go out and get yourself some coffee. You look a little blue around the gills.
Tonight, X-1 has brought you No Contact, written by George Lefferts from an original story of Lefferts and Ernest Kinoy. Featured in the cast were Louis Van Ruten as Captain, Donald Buca as Collier, Wendell Holmes as Charlie, and Bill Griffiths, Bill Smith, Matt Crowley, and Ken Williams. Your announcer, Don Pardo. X-1 was directed by Fred Way and is a transcribed NBC Radio Network production. And now, next week. When you want to take over a world, you naturally look for its weak point, some way to catch its people off guard. We live in a world where everybody loves a parade, a world of press agents and publicity stunts. But who would ever dream that invaders from outer space would take advantage of that weakness and actually hire a press agent to advertise their coming? Who would believe it was anything but just another publicity gag? At least, not until the terrible moment when it was already too late. The moment of X-1.
On the magic island of Euclidia, the Gregory party is learning more of the wonders of the place and learning them very rapidly. When their boat was pulled to the pier by magnetism, Mrs. Gregory and her daughter Joan, Captain Bradford, and Jerry Hall found no one to greet them. They know the Euclidean scientists expect their landing. It's very puzzling as they walk across the island, enter one of the automatic elevators, and descend to various levels, searching for G47 or one of his assistants. The mystery deepens as their elevator passes the 10th level, 100 feet below the surface of the sea and supposed to be the lowest level on the island. The elevator does not stop there, however, and we find them now 50 feet below the bottom of the island, 150 feet below the surface of the water, and still going down.
Oh, gee whiz, Joan. How far down does this elevator go?
I do not know, Jerry. I have only heard vague rumors of the Euclidean city below the ocean floor.
But, Joan, you said something about modern Atlantis. Surely you don't believe there's a lost continent under us.
Well, why not, Pat? The only people who refuse to believe the story of Atlantis are the same kind of people who said automobiles wouldn't run and airships wouldn't fly.
But, why, it's tremendous, Tex.
Yes, it's that all right.
Well, Joan's lived on this island 14 years. I should think she'd know more about this.
G47 and his men have not told me everything about Euclidia. I think we may see things of which I have never dreamed.
Well, the only time I ever did see this kind of stuff is when I was dreaming.
This elevator keeps going down. We must be nearly 100 feet below what we believe to be the foundation of the island. And yet we go down. Down into what?
Well, whatever it is, it's been made by man. If these Euclideans can stand it, I guess we can.
I am as greatly surprised as you are, Captain Bradford. My knowledge of Euclidia will be useless here.
Well, whatever's going to happen to us, I wish it would happen quick. I'm getting tired going all in one direction in an elevator.
We stopped. No, we started again.
Something wrong here. We're tipping over.
Hey, quit pushing me.
But I am not pushing you, Jerry.
Tex, we're falling.
Hold steady. I think it's going to be all right.
What's going on here? We're almost over on our side. This blame elevator is lying down flat. And it still goes.
Perhaps we are now traversing a horizontal passage.
Joan, dear, you think this elevator is traveling along a tunnel almost flat on its side?
It is obvious, is it not?
Well, golly whiskers. When their elevators are going to run like this, I wish somebody would tell me so I could get on top. I'm all squashed.
Well, it is a little uncomfortable, Jerry, but we'll be all right.
Yeah, it's swell for you. You're on top. But I'm getting all the wind knocked out of me.
I think our position is changing again.
Why? Hope we don't have to stand on our heads.
No, Jerry, we're tipping back to an upright position.
Queer things, these Euclidean elevators.
Much too queer for me.
Me too. I like my elevators running up and down.
Is it not logical to have them also run horizontally?
Yes, dear, it's probably logical, but it's also upsetting.
We seem to be almost on even keel again now.
Yeah, I can tell that. I can get my breath.
But how long is this weird ride going to continue?
I have no way of determining that.
We're going at a terrific speed now. Wherever we're going, it shouldn't take us long to get there.
Have you any idea as to our direction?
Not the slightest.
We're going down.
Of course, Jerry, we all know that. What Mother meant was our direction from the center of the island during our progress along a level plain.
I wouldn't know.
We just passed another control of some type.
I hope we don't start upside down now.
We are stationary.
What?
Huh?
Joan's right. We've stopped moving.
Why, so we have.
Then I'll bet it won't be long until something else happens to us.
That is probably correct.
Oh, I know it is. These Euclideans don't let much time go by without trying one of their tricks on you.
Well, we've evidently arrived at our destination.
Right, let's get out.
Do not open that door, Captain.
Why not?
I do not know why you should not. But it is well to remember that when the Euclideans wish you to pass through a door, that door is opened for you.
You mean we just stand here in this little steel coop until somebody lets us out?
Precisely.
It may be safer, as Joan suggests.
No doubt of that, but I hope they don't keep us in here too long. I'd like to know where we are.
Well, we're somewhere near the Magic Island. You can sure tell when these Euclideans are running things. Everything always happens so you can't figure it out.
I think I'll take a chance and open this door.
I wish you would not, Captain.
Oh, please, Tex. If Joan is worried about it, surely we can spare the few minutes it may take for someone to come and let us out.
All right, Pat.
Yeah, maybe take a few hours if they don't want to see us right away.
The door is opening now.
Yes, look. The door is opening, and no one is touching it.
Well, that's merely the usual procedure around here.
Well, I'll say it is. After a few weeks in this island, you get too lazy to open doors for yourself.
This one is certainly opening without human aid, and I think it's time for us to leave.
Yes, let's get out before this thing decides to take us back up to the surface.
Huh? Say, this looks just like those passageways up in the island.
The construction is obviously the same. We are in a corridor of the transparent steel.
And I suppose that on either side of us someone is watching through those walls.
Probably.
Well, they can't hurt us any by watching. Well, which way do we go?
You know as much about it as I do, kid.
I think we should proceed as we are going.
Okay, Joan. Straight ahead.
This series of hallways seems to stretch endlessly in all directions.
Hey, that noiseless paint again.
Right, Jerry. Our footsteps don't make a sound.
Apparently, the Euclidean devices are much the same here as on the surface. What is it called, Joan?
I have heard it referred to as a modern Atlantis, but the actual designation is Euclidia.
Oh, the same name as the island, huh?
Obviously.
You're not very certain about things down here, are you, Joan?
I am not, Captain. This is my first visit, and I heard it discussed but little.
Well, it's a mighty big place, if our walking means anything.
We can't even depend on that, Jerry. For all we know, we're walking in a circle.
That is possible.
Well, even a circle will bring you back to your starting point. We'd better off at that elevator, and we are wandering around an endless hall.
Oh, this is a fine thing. Here we come 4,000 miles to see people that we know want to see us, and when we get here, we can't find anybody.
It is indeed strange, Jerry, but I think it is being deliberately done, probably to impress us with G47's complete contempt for us.
I'm sure of that. It doesn't require any more demonstrations to make me feel absolutely helpless when I'm around this weird place. How long do you think we should keep up this aimless walking, Tex? Tex? Why, Tex!
Golly, whiskers!
The captain is gone.
But where?
No place.
But he's gone, Jerry.
Well, I mean, there's no place he could have gone.
Joan, dear, What does this mean? What's happened?
I do not know, Mother.
Tex was walking right along here with us a minute ago.
He was beside me, or at least I thought he was, and then I spoke to him. And when I turned, he wasn't there.
Well, let's stand still a minute and try to figure this out.
Well, let's do something.
Do not allow yourself to become excited, Mother.
Excited when a man was walking at my side suddenly disappears?
Joan means it won't do any good to get excited. We'll figure this out. We'll just keep cool like I am. And...
You must be very cool, Jerry. You are shaking as if you had a chill.
Yeah, I was just... Well, oh, golly.
We haven't passed a doorway he could have stepped into.
The captain would not have done that without telling us.
But he's gone, Joan.
Well, maybe turned off at one of those other hallways.
I think not. The captain was with us until long after we passed the last cross corridor.
Well, just the same, I'm going back and look for him.
Now, don't get too scared, Mrs. Gregory. These Euclideans do things like this to you all the time.
Nevertheless, I feel that Mother is right. We must retrace our steps and endeavor to discover what took place.
Oh, okay. Back we go.
It should be only a few steps. Oh!
Yeah. Oh, he's right.
Well, this is a solid metal wall.
And yet this is the way we came. There is no other way.
We reversed our direction, and the corridor is too narrow to permit a turn we didn't notice. Yet there's a solid steel panel tightly closed against us.
Then it slid into place without a sound, and I'll bet the captain is on the other side of it.
Do not attempt to call out to him, Mother.
But, Joan...
I know what is best under these circumstances. The captain was deliberately separated from this party, and we would be foolish to attempt to locate him.
You mean we should leave him there without trying to reach him?
I guess Joan's right, Mrs. Gregory. We'd only make fools of ourselves trying to see anything these Euclideans didn't want us to see, and they really might hurt us if we made them too mad.
Well, yes, I can see that, but
We will proceed along the corridor as we were doing.
Yeah. We sure can't do Tex any good, and we'd better try to get somewhere.
Yes, but where?
Well, just anywhere except this hallway.
Jerry is wise, Mother. It is to our advantage to locate someone at once and receive some advice on our positions.
Very well, Joan. Come on. It seems a terrible thing to leave Tex here somewhere and go on without him. But we couldn't do him any good if G47 doesn't want us to reach him.
I took Jerry through many experiences, even more terrifying than this. And we were not harmed, were we, Jerry? Jerry!
Stand still, Joan.
Jerry is gone!
Yes, and if we don't move from this spot, we may be able to see where he went.
I think not. There was no sound, no disturbance. Yet Jerry has vanished as completely as if he were in another world.
Yes, another world. Joan, we are in another world. A world that we don't understand. I'm going back and... Oh, that steel door wasn't more than a foot behind us.
And Jerry is undoubtedly behind that partition.
Well, I'm not going to stand for any more of this. They can come and put me in one of their cells if they want to. But I'm going to find out what's happening. Jerry! Jerry! Jerry!
Mother, please, that will do no good.
No, you're right. It won't do any good. Nothing does any good in this wild place. Oh, why doesn't someone come and take us? Take us to a cell. Take us before G47. Do anything with us to get us out of this awful uncertainty.
Come, Mother. We will proceed.
Proceeding into what?
That we will learn when the scientists are ready to have their wishes made known. We will walk rapidly and quietly.
Yes, we'll walk. Come on, Joan. We'll walk like this, putting one foot before the other, walking heavily on a steel floor, yet making no sound. And then one of us will be next, and one of us will be left alone. Alone to face what?
Be calm, Mother. Be calm.
Yes. Be calm while my world falls to pieces around me. Be calm while you're in danger. Hold tightly my hand, Joan. Oh, I'll never let them separate us. Hold tightly, Joan. Joan! Joan! Where are you, Joan?
Down in the depths of a strange underwater world, the little band of adventurers are having their troubles one at a time. When Mrs. Gregory, Captain Bradford, Jerry, and Joan started down inside the island of Euclidia in one of the automatic elevators, they didn't even dream of the sort of thing they would find. Carried down to a level which they believed to be about 200 feet below sea level, 100 feet below the foundation of the island, they set out to walk along one of the familiar corridors of polished steel. One by one, they disappear. Captain Bradford first, then Jerry, Joan next, and finally Mrs. Gregory. They are still separated. The first one we find is Jerry Hall. Jerry is seated in a small metal chair. A bright light shines into his eyes, and out of the blackness before him a strange voice speaks.
You will answer my questions, Hall?
Maybe, if I can.
You can, if you will.
Well, what are your questions?
Where is Captain Bradford?
I don't know.
Where is Cleostra?
Who?
Cleostra, the living symbol of the perfect calendar.
Oh, you mean Joan Gregory.
You will learn that on Euclidia we say precisely what we mean.
Precisely? That sure sounds familiar. Well, why don't you come out in the light where I can see you?
I will ask the questions here.
Well, then ask some I can answer.
Where is Cleostra?
I don't know.
Then where
I don't know.
I did not complete my interrogation.
Well, you didn't need to. You were going to ask me where Mrs. Gregory is, and I don't know. And I don't know where any of the others are.
Do you know where you are?
Sure. I'm right here.
You are very foolish, Hall.
Well, I guess I am. Anybody's foolish that lets themselves get caught by a crazy bunch of guys like you've got on this island.
You are not on the island.
Well, under the island, then.
You are not under the island.
Well, maybe I am foolish. But we came down under the island, I'm sure of that.
Did you come down a true vertical course?
Oh, we come down a true... Oh, say, now look here. When you mean straight down, why don't you say straight down?
We of Euclidia do not speak in the jargon of your commonly mutilated variations of the English language.
Okay, I know a few big words myself. But I don't show off all the time by using them. Now, I don't know a thing you want to know. So why don't you let me go and find Mrs. Gregory and the rest of our bunch?
The word bunch is perhaps an adequate description of your ill-assorted expedition.
Well, our expedition was plenty good enough to find this island.
That was made very simple for you.
Oh, yeah, I know. Old G47 wanted to see the captain and try to get something he's got. But we escaped from this island, didn't we?
Are you not here now?
Now, look here. You haven't asked me a question that you don't know the answer to better than I do. And there's no sense in my trying to answer any more of them.
I am thoroughly convinced there would be no intelligence displayed in anything you might be a part of. That is all.
Oh, can I go now? I said, can I go now? Okay. I can sit here as long as you can. Hey, don't turn that light out. Well, I'm not afraid of the dark. Well, why don't you go on talking? I wonder if... Yeah. That's it. I'm alone. But Guy's gone.
Jerry, is that you, Jerry?
Yeah, this is Jerry. Where are you, Tex?
I'm right here. Where are you?
Well, I'm right here.
At least we're in the same room, I think.
Well, I don't like to do much moving around in the dark in these places.
Well, neither do I, but it can't be helped. Now, you stay where you are and keep talking. I'll try to come to your voice. Tell me, what happened to Pat and Joan?
Well, same thing has happened to us, I suppose.
So you suddenly pulled into an open steel panel?
Well, I sure was. Just a minute or two after you disappeared.
Well, I disappeared the same way.
Hey, somebody grabbed my arm. Let go.
Steady, Jerry. I've got hold of your arm.
Oh, golly whiskers. You never know what's liable to happen to you in this place.
What about Pat and Joan?
Well, I don't know. They were together when I got lifted off my feet and jerked into a little room.
Then you were brought in here for questioning?
Yeah. That fellow Thales, it sounded like. But I couldn't be sure. He talked a lot like old G47.
Yeah, we've heard him talk in other ways, too. Well, I've been questioned just as you have. And I was honored by having G47 himself work on me.
Ooh. What did he have to say?
Nothing. He wanted me to do all the talking, and I didn't say any more than he did.
Well, that must have been a noisy meeting.
Not very. However, there's no use in our trying to hide our purposes from these Euclideans, Jerry. And no use fooling ourselves. They know we've come here to try and do something about this island, because we're afraid of what they may do to the world if they're left alone.
Well, what do you think they're going to do to us?
Nothing, for the time being.
I hope Joan and Mrs. Gregory are all right.
No, if there were some lights in this place, we'd try to find them.
Gee, lights. They came on just as you said lights.
We're being watched, and overheard, of course.
Well, I like the light. I don't care who's looking at it.
This room seems to have been designed for just such a purpose as this. Nothing in it but these straight steel chairs.
Well, where are we? Do you know exactly?
No, except that we're somewhere under the floor of the ocean and not far from the surface location of the island.
Is this where we're supposed to stay?
No telling, kid. I'm just as much in the dark as you are.
Jerry! Captain Bradford!
Hello, Joan.
I have been feeling my way along cold steel walls until I felt a panel open before me. And I am so glad to see you.
Well, we're glad to see you, too, Joan. Where's your mother?
I do not know. I was taken from her side as quickly and noiselessly as were you and Jerry. I have not seen her since.
Sure a lot of mysterious junk around here. Did one of the Euclideans ask you questions, Joan?
Yes. I was blinded by a strong light focused directly into my eyes, while my interrogator remained in total darkness. but I believe it was Thales.
The same guy who worked on me.
And what was your experience, Captain Bradford?
About the same as yours and Jerry's, except that I was questioned by G47. Such things as what were we doing here and why had we come and what would we attempt to do now that we were here.
The interviews must have been practically identical then.
Joan, dear.
Hey, it's Mrs. Gregory.
We're all safe, Mother.
I'm so glad, Joan, dear, and Jerry and Tex. What happened to you?
Same as happened to you, I expect. A dark room, questions, then silence, and you were alone.
Yes, Tex. How did you know?
Well, it's just happened to all of us.
Oh, thank heavens we're together again. And I hope we can stay together.
The lights. They're going out.
Now what's coming?
Now take it easy till we find out. Everyone stand still. Hold each other's hands. Give me your hand, Jerry.
Right, Tex. There it is.
Mother, give me your hand.
I will, when I can find yours in the dark. There, dear.
Now, Pat, your hand. That's right. And whatever you do, don't let go. Any of you.
Well, what do you expect?
Anything. But whatever happens, let's keep from being separated as long as we can.
So, we are all together.
G47.
Precisely.
What's the idea of the black magic, G47? You can do just about as you wish with us here. Why put on this cheap show?
My dear Captain, you will learn to entertain a greater respect for me before you see the outside world again.
Just where are we now?
You are in Euclidia.
That might mean anything.
It might indeed. Now, you will answer some questions.
What a gain.
Mrs. Gregory, what do you hope to gain by this visit to Euclidia?
Hey, that's not G47.
It is Thales, I believe.
Where is your formula, Captain Bradford?
My formula is safe from you.
What were the materials you brought on your boat?
What experiments did you hope to conduct here?
The compounding of that formula by anyone except a scientist of Euclidia will seal your fate.
Tex, just what I thought. We're only safe until they can force you to give up that formula.
They'll never do that.
Never is a longer period of time than any human is allowed to hold a secret.
We will never give this up, G47.
You are very foolish to ally yourself with this hopeless cause, Cleostra.
Now, wait a minute, you two. I'm not a bit frightened by these third-degree methods. I can talk and reason as well in the dark as you can. I'm the only one of this group who knows my formula. The only one in the world. And the only written copy of the formula I destroyed when we were in Los Angeles. You can't browbeat any secrets out of the others, and you'll never get them from me.
Good for you, Tex.
We all feel the same way.
Very heroic. However, your sweeping gestures have the weakness of all heroics. They have no value in the face of fact.
But the formula is a fact, and my having it a fact.
And is it not a fact that you would surrender the formula before you would allow harm to come to any of these others?
Well?
No, Captain. We are able to undertake anything with you.
Yes, Joan, dear. But the four of us mean very little when the safety of the world is at stake.
Do you think you four weak fools are of any value in the world?
Well, as long as we can keep guys like you from running wild and upsetting all our countries, we're plenty of good to the world, and that's more than you are.
We of Euclidia have knowledge that is priceless to your elementary world.
That depends on your senses of values. We're going to do everything within our power to see that your vast scientific knowledge is not used to harm the world.
No, never mind, Pat. We're only wasting our breath. Let's just let them talk, and when the time comes, we'll find a way to do the right thing.
Does anyone in your world ever do the right thing?
Hey, listen. That's the signal to submerge the island.
That means we will not see the daylight for some time.
The island is being submerged completely and will remain so until we have that formula.
Well, we can stand it down here if you can.
And in the meantime, there are warships from every nation in the world ready to come to this position and attack the island if we do not return within a specified time.
That is interesting indeed. For those warships, we'll find only the crater of an extinct volcano.
A volcano? Under the water?
So that's where you got the foundation of the island.
Precisely.
The island was built in the crater of a volcano, and that made your excavations easy. Gives you plenty of space under the ocean floor.
Several millions of cubic feet.
Millions of cubic feet? In what?
In Euclidia, where this room is located, where you are now more than 200 feet below the surface of the water. And this is the highest level of the city.
City? I told you, Mother, I thought there was a city here.
When will you let us see this place?
You will be free to explore it at your pleasure tomorrow. It is not necessary to warn you that escape is hopeless.
No, we can see that for ourselves. Anyway, we didn't come here this time to try and escape.
You may go to your quarters when you so desire.
And I suppose we've got to walk around here in the dark and fall over a lot of steel chairs trying to find a door. Hey!
You're wrong, Jerry. There's plenty of light now.
G47.
And Paley's.
They are gone.
Golly, gone without a sound. And they were both right here in front of us.
Don't let that bother you. We're going to have a lot of things more serious than disappearing tricks to contend with.
Yes, our position is serious now, Tex.
We cannot escape as we did from the island.
No, they're not kidding about that. We're 200 feet below the ocean.
200 feet. Under the water. It might as well be 200 miles.
Exploring tomorrow. And now, here is your guide to these adventures of the mind, John Campbell.
The term genius is fairly common in our language today. I wonder how many of you realize that the term originated with the old Arabian Nights concept of the genie. You know, the magical creature that came in a bottle and had such wonderful powers. The story is about a whole planet of geniuses. Genie. Interesting people to try to enslave, you know. Laboratory scientists have as much fun as anybody else, you know. One of the laboratory laws, sometimes called Finagle's Law or Murphy's Law, goes, in any laboratory experiment, if something can go wrong, it will. Well, this is the story of a planet-sized laboratory experiment in which something could go wrong.
Professor Heim to His Excellency Marshal Gorham. The ship is now in orbit about the planet of destination.
Good. Good. Have a lifeboat prepared for descent with an invisibility screen.
Yes, Your Excellency. How many crewmen will you want to take along?
None. There'll be just myself and you, Professor Heim.
Sir? You, the Marshal, landing on a barbarian world without even an escort? I'm begging your pardon, sir, but...
Do you mean that the Grand Marshal of the Galactic Imperial Armed Forces can't carry out an undercover inspection on a backward planet without a dozen Marines clanking in his wake?
No, sir. No, sir.
And please remember that the people down there have no weapon more powerful than a bow and arrow. Whereas I will be carrying a nuclear blaster under my coat.
Yes, sir. Of course, Your Excellency.
And while we are down there on that planet, Professor Heim, stand by for possible action. We may have to bombard the place with cobalt missiles. Wipe all the life off it.
Sterilize the entire planet, sir?
You heard me, Professor. I said we may have to. Not that we will. It depends on what I find down there. That peaceful, primitive world may turn out to be just another stupid scientific experiment. Or it may turn out to be the worst danger of the Empire and all its stars have faced for 1,000 years. Now, I want you, Professor. I'm in my office at once. Over.
Yes, Your Excellency. Over and out.
Oh, there you are, Professor Heim.
Yes, Marshal Gorham, here I am.
You've arrived at your experimental planet.
I know. I was just watching it float there among the constellations. I don't know a more beautiful sight in the universe.
Well, break out the native costumes for us, too. We're going down.
At once?
I am a military man, Professor, not one of your psychologists. Now, so far, your people have spent 1,500 years studying that planet. But as for me, there's war on the Imperial borders, and I can spare 3 days.
3 days to decide?
To decide whether we can let your experiment go on or whether to discontinue it, shall I say?
But only 3 days. Marshal, you don't realize it would take a week just to explain the statistics of...
I know, I've heard it all. 1,500 years ago, the Psychological Research Foundation decided to learn what makes human history tick by running controlled experiments. So it took a lot of uninhabited planets and put different kinds of people on them.
Their memories wiped out, Marshal. The first generation started out knowing as little as animals. They had to discover everything for themselves. Fire, language, the wheel. Do you imagine that their descendants could have learned enough to menace us? To threaten an empire that for 3,000 years has controlled millions of planetary systems?
We've been through all this before, Iron. I've told you again and again, I'm not worried about your other experimental worlds. They're still cavemen or less. But this planet here, pure genius stock. A planet where nobody has an IQ below 150. And God knows how high they go. Well, I just can't tell about them. And His Majesty is worried, too. There have been rumors. He sent me here himself to decide whether or not those rumors could be true.
But the people down there don't even know the Galactic Empire exists. Why, the men there are still farming with plows and sailing in steamships.
Sure. What of it? Ordinary men on Earth with an average IQ of 100 needed maybe 500,000 years to get as far as your geniuses have in 1,500. I understand they've already developed Newtonian physics, chemical batteries, telescopes, world governments. At that rate, they'll be visiting the other planets of this system in 50 years. They'll reach the stars in a century, and then they'll be loose in the Galactic Empire. Do you think they'd fit tamely into the caste system, like good subjects of the Emperor? Why, they couldn't even if they tried. They'd produce a new invention and a new philosopher every day. And that would mean the end of stability, and that, Professor, would mean the end of the Empire.
So you say, but you're a soldier. You don't understand.
Yes, I know. I'm a dirty militarist who can't see past the end of my own guns. All I'm good for is killing, huh? And you're a noble intellectual scientist. Yeah. I've heard that guff before, Professor, and I've gotten pretty tired of it.
But I tell you, the genius people are cooperative and...
My orders are to inspect the place and decide for myself whether they're right or not. So that's what I'm going to do. Come along, Hein.
Exploring Tomorrow continues in just a moment. When driving, luck can stay with you for years. But on the road, it can leave you in a split second, a tragic split second. So drive carefully. You will live longer, and you will arrive alive.
There's been considerable discussion of what constitutes good and evil over the last few millenniums. But, there's an interesting comment someone made. I don't know where it did originate. Melodrama is the conflict between good and evil. And tragedy is the conflict between good and good. When two good men, each with a good point to make, get into conflict, that's where real tragedy starts.
All right, Professor. I've got the lifeboat into the atmosphere and leveled off. So where do I head now? Hein. Wake up, you wool-headed dreamer.
I'm sorry, Marshal. I was thinking, looking out the porthole and thinking.
What about?
How lovely the sky is. So blue. And the land below, mountains and forests and hopeful young farms.
Oh, no, a poet yet. Well, I'm thinking about my job of inspection. Where shall we go?
Fly northeast for 700 kilometers and you'll find this planet's largest city. It's also the capital of the world government.
That'll do. I should be able to observe a pretty good cross-section of the genius race.
Do you seriously believe you can decide the fate of an entire world on the basis of what you see in one city? How do you expect to learn anything, even there? You don't speak any of the local languages, not even the international one that developed.
You'll talk for both of us. We'll claim to be visitors from a long ways off, the opposite hemisphere. We'll just wander around town for a couple of days, and I'll get the feel of the place.
You mean you'll decide whether these people live or die just on the basis of a hunch?
Now, here we are. Landed in an empty meadow. You're sure nobody will happen by?
Well, what do they do? The lifeboat is invisible.
Well, even so. Well, we don't want the genius people learning the truth, do we, Professor?
No, of course not. On that, you and I do agree. But my own motive is that I don't want to spoil the experiment.
Come on, let's get moving. We'll have to hike into the city. Oh, it's nice outdoors. Sunshine. I don't know when I last breathed air that didn't come out of a tank.
And you turn all this into black radioactive ash.
Come on, I said. Let's start walking. There's a road. It's pretty well paved.
Oh, yes. 10 years ago, this was a livestock trail. Today, they're driving steam automobiles over it. I predict that 10 years from now, the first airplane will use this for a landing strip.
But where's the mass market to support all that progress?
There isn't much of one. Actually, most people here are still riding around in buggies. You see, they have a unique social system. The average man on this planet would rather buy a new book than a new gadget. But at the same time, their engineers keep on making inventions because a mind of such power can't help being creative.
And I tell you, the Empire can't afford what you call creativeness. So this is their biggest city.
Why? There are about 1 million people in it.
You call that a city?
Well, considering the small population of this world, yes.
It's backward, all right. Carts pulled by animals. Water pumped by windmills. Bearded men in clothes of vegetable fiber. Wood and plaster houses. Gas lamps.
That's what I keep telling you, Marshal. These people aren't demons. They're as human as you and I. They're born the same way as us. Grow up, learn, love, laugh, weep, and die like human beings anywhere in all space and time. They simply happen to be more intelligent. Let them live.
70 generations ago, they were savages. They didn't even know how to chip a flint. And now they've come to this.
Yes. Our observers mingling with them in disguise have already learned more about historical dynamics than...
Oh, sure, this city is still primitive. But in another 100 years, they have schools, laboratories. They don't frown on artists and scientists and philosophers. They glorify them. So, in 100 years, they'll be out among the stars. And we don't dare allow that.
But they won't, Marshal. Not necessarily. If only you'd let me show you the economic data. For instance, the great uninhabited spaces they still have right on their home planet.
Shut up, I'm thinking.
Thinking? I don't think you're able to.
What did you say?
Nothing.
I have a knife, Grand Marshal Gorham. You don't know that, do you? You think I'm just another ineffectual little dreamer, don't you? Well, you may find out different.
If by militarist we mean someone who believes that it is necessary to use physical force to carry out, to implement a theory, a belief, then it looks to me like Professor Heim has become a militarist. He intends to use force, doesn't he?
Parole tu solo, Perda.
Saban, Hoste.
What did he say, that bellhop or whatever he was?
He wished us good night in the international language. He thinks we're foreigners, you remember?
Ha! If he only knew how foreign.
That's a cheap way to feel superior, isn't it?
Oh, shut up, Heim. I'm still trying to decide what to do about this planet. There are too many paradoxes. The waiter in the restaurant wanted to ask you about the ethnology of the country he thought we came from. This is a nice, clean hotel room, but it doesn't have running water. And yet the clerk downstairs was reading what I swear must have been a mathematical journal.
Does that make them monsters? Under the social system here, such routine jobs are done by students. And, of course, every person on this planet goes through at least 5 years of college. But that's all it amounts to, Gorham.
A whole world of long-haired dreamers who are experimenting with aircraft and rockets, who developed the theory of evolution before they learned how to smelt iron. I don't trust them.
Of course, you don't understand them. You're too... I mean...
Too stupid? Isn't that what you're going to say, Professor? I'm just a dumb militarist who worked his way from private soldier to Grand Marshal of the Galactic Empire. No fine scientist, just a hired hand keeping the barbarian raiders off your scientific back. Well, Professor Heim, I happen to be the man who will decide what's to become of this planet of geniuses.
And have you decided yet, Your Excellency?
Not yet. I can still take a couple of days to...
2 more days? After the Foundation worked for 1,500 years?
Hey, what are you doing?
This is a knife in my hand, Marshal Gorham. Don't move. If you reach for that blaster, I'll kill you.
You gone crazy, Heim?
No. You're the crazy one. You're the lunatic who would blot out man's last best hope, this planet. You allow yourself 3 days to decide the whole future of the world. Unbuckle that blaster. Don't let your hand come near the trigger out. Drop it on the floor. Kick it over to me. So. Now I've got you where I want you.
But, Professor, I haven't decided anything yet. I might decide this experiment is safe. I might still report to the Emperor. There's nothing to be afraid of. He can forget your race.
Yes, you might. But I know you won't. I'm going to kill you, Marshal Gorham. I'm going to report to the spaceship captain that you died accidentally. And then I'm going to hope that the next Imperial inspector will be more reasonable.
Look out! Stand back, you fool! Don't!
I only stabbed you in the arm that time, Marshal Gorham. But you're in a corner now. I'll get you this time.
Slow! Slow, Veridan!
Go along, or I don't go along, you rat.
Ustanich, Sholti, Klo! Klo!
You spoke their language. You already know the language of this planet.
Yeah.
The attendant has the key, of course. He's coming in. Drop that knife, Professor Heim. He's a husky chap.
Salomona.
Yai. Take la eau de rest. Drop that knife, I said, Professor.
Yes, of course.
Sit down, Heim. You look more shocked than I am. Kavla no ma, Jodan. He's gone after the first aid kit for me. Not that you hurt me seriously.
I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter.
And you're a native of this planet yourself.
Yes. I was born here, though I've lived most of my life out in the Empire.
We thought we were keeping a planet full of geniuses in ignorance. How long have you known?
We began to suspect the truth 500 years ago, when we discovered that all life had evolved from lower forms, but couldn't find a subhuman ancestor for man. Now, finally, your disguised observers were identified. We even used blind man techniques to spot those wearing invisibility screens. Did you really expect you could go on fooling a race with twice your brain power?
Well, we thought so. Yes, I suppose it was foolish.
Some of us wormed our way into space as throwaways or in disguise, that sort of thing. People here live quietly, so as not to give the show away. We don't tell our children the truth till they're old enough to keep up the pretense. But meanwhile, for the past 300 years, our agents have been out in the Empire, learning everything you know, posing as citizens, working up into the key positions of your government. We can do that by sheer merit.
Yes, obviously you can become Imperial Marshals.
Right. And when the Emperor got suspicious, he sent me, his trusted soldier, a notorious anti-intellectual, to check up for him. Naturally, I was going to give this planet a clean bill of health, but I had to string you along first to make it look good. Evidently, I put on a better act than I had planned.
And now that I know your secret?
I'll have to report that you were accidentally killed here, Professor. But don't worry. All you have to do is spend the rest of your life here as one of us. I don't think you'll mind that.
Oh, no, not personally. I'd enjoy it. I used to envy the people on this world. But when your race, I mean, when you've completely taken over the Galactic Empire from within, what do you plan to do?
Well, we'll remodel it, shall I say. I'm afraid you wouldn't understand exactly what we intend to do. It's a little beyond your grasp, but it will be for the benefit of the ordinary galactic citizen, too. The poor, backward, benighted galactic empire.
They say that the first requirement for teaching a dog to do tricks is that you have to know more than the dog. If you want to teach a planet full of geniuses to do tricks for you, first make sure you know more than the geniuses. You can enslave some kinds of entities, but you can't enslave, you can't impose on entities who are more intelligent, more thoughtful, more wise than you yourself. What will happen is they'll turn out to be helping you in disguise.
us for a fascinating adventure in Exploring Tomorrow. Heard in our cast tonight were Ron Dawson and Al Ruscio. Script was by Powell Anderson, produced and directed by Sanford Marshall here in New York. Guy Wallace speaking.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look! Up in the sky! It's a bird!
It's a plane!
It's Superman!
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from another world, who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way. But before we join Superman, here is an important message.
Fellows and girls, somewhere in the Solomon Islands, there are a lot of big, tough fighting Marines, and they're carrying guns that you may have helped to buy for them. That is, if you've been buying your share of war-saving stamps for victory. You see, every single dime you exchange for a war-saving stamp helps to buy the guns and the bullets, the planes and bombs, the ships and the shells that are going to lick the Nazis and the Jets. Now, we know that all red-blooded Americans can't actually wear Uncle Sam's uniform. Because some of us are too young or too old to join the Army or Navy. But there is one big, important way we can help. We can buy war-saving stamps and bonds. We can lend our money to Uncle Sam and put weapons into the hands of American fighting men. Why, do you know that your dime, spent for a war stamp, is the same dime used to buy 5 .45 caliber bullets? I guess you know, too, and the Jets and the Nazis certainly do, what a soldier or a sailor or a Marine can do with 5 bullets. And speaking of sailors, you might be interested to learn that every time you buy 5 war stamps, that same 50 cents buys enough fuel oil to carry a destroyer a full mile closer to its objective. That makes buying war stamps pretty exciting, doesn't it? Now look, let's make a promise to ourselves right now. Let's promise to buy war-saving stamps every week, regularly. And you can help even more than that. You can get your friends and your mother and father and all the people you know to buy war stamps and bonds regularly. They'll want to help, too, when you explain to them how important it is for all of us to do our share to help our brothers and friends in uniform. Our boys are going to win this war, and we have simply got to help them. So remember, every time you've got a dime, buy a war-saving stamp.
And now, the adventures of Superman. Yesterday, we heard how Superman brought the 50-ton flying boat known as the Atlantic Clipper safely to Earth at Hendon Airdrome in England, after the huge airship carrying among its passengers Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, and Clark Kent had crashed at sea. Superman had dropped his disguise of Clark Kent and, as Superman, saved the flying boat and all aboard her. But as our last episode ended, Superman himself was faced with a problem he could not solve. How was he to assume the guise of Clark Kent once again? He knew that his absence as Clark Kent had been discovered and the plane thoroughly searched. What explanation could he possibly give for his absence? To find out how Superman solved his problem, we join Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen. It is late afternoon of the following day. Lois and Jimmy are riding atop a London bus. Listen.
What street did you say this was, Miss Lane?
Bayswater Road, Jimmy.
Uh-huh.
That was Hyde Park Corner we just passed.
Oh, that's Kensington Gardens on our left, isn't it?
That's right.
Gee, I just can't get used to being in a foreign city. It'd be pretty exciting if Mr. Kent was with us.
Yes, I know what you mean.
No sense hoping, though, I guess. Captain March must have had it figured out right.
You mean about Clark's body floating out through the side of the Clipper while she was submerged? Yes, I guess he must have been right about that.
Sure seems tough the way things happen sometimes. Why Mr. Kent had to be the one...
Oh, now, Jimmy, come on. You mustn't give way to yourself like that.
I can't help it. Mr. Kent, he was the best friend I ever had.
I know, Jimmy, I know, but... Well, you've just got to carry on, that's all.
After all, Jim, now that Clark's gone, I've got to depend on you, haven't I? Do you? Well, sure. What did the inspector at Scotland Yard say only a little while ago?
I don't know. What did he say?
Don't you remember? He said that under ordinary circumstances, he'd have to lock you up for being in England without a passport or a visa. But since that would leave me all alone, and since you were the only man I could depend on, that he wouldn't.
Oh, yeah. I remember. You think that's why he didn't lock me up?
Why, I'm sure of it.
Well, what about when he called the American consul and talked to him?
Well, the consul may have said something that helped a little, but... Well, Jim, I do need you, and you've got to show me that I can depend on you.
Okay. Don't worry about me. From here on, you can depend on me for anything.
That's right. That's the way I like to hear you talk.
Gosh, look there through the railing. There are guns in the park. Big ones.
Yes. Kensington Gardens are just bristling with anti-aircraft guns. I wouldn't be at all surprised if some of those very guns were firing at us last night.
Gee, that was something, wasn't it?
Oh, sure was.
There's Superman carrying us in that plane across London when those Ack started firing at us. Gosh, I was plenty scared.
Hmm?
Well, not exactly scared, just a little nervous.
Oh, I should think so. We'd have saved ourselves a lot of trouble and danger if we could have used the radio in that plane.
Oh, there wasn't a chance. Every battery on board was so full of salt water.
Yes, you miss.
Oh, Leinster Corner.
A boy, too?
Boy.
He's over 12, I just say.
Hey, easy, Jim, easy. Yes, he is. He's over 12, conductor.
That'll be 6 halfpenny, miss.
I'm 6 and... What?
6 halfpenny. Oh, you're an American, ain't you?
Yes, I don't quite understand your coinage yet. Here's some change, I don't know.
Off it, lady. Now, there's a 6pence. And there's 8penny. Half a penny, you know.
Oh, I see.
No, not at all, miss, not at all. I'll let you know when we arrive at Leinster Corner.
Thank you. Conductor.
Yes, miss?
Look, I'm a reporter on an American newspaper. I'm over here to find out just how you English are weathering things. You know, the war and all.
How are you now? Well, interesting work, I call
it. Yes, it is. You mind telling me a few things about yourself?
You mean you'd printed an American newspaper?
Yes, of course.
Why, I'd be very happy to tell you all I could, miss. What would you like to know?
Well, I'd like to know your name to begin with.
Harry Higgins, miss, with an H.
Harry Higgins?
And the address, 72 Larkspur Street, Lambeth.
72 Larkspur. Married, are you?
Oh, yes, got 3 grown kids, 2 boys and a girl. One boy's in the RAF and the other's in the Navy. The girl, named Josephine, she's in the Red Cross.
Oh? Just how has the war affected you, Mr. Higgins?
Oh, I wouldn't say it's made too much difference, miss. Of course, I had my own little place before it all started, a cottage near Kingston. Pretty little place. I went there one night after a raid and found it wasn't there no more. Vomited square and clean.
Oh, that's too bad.
It wasn't a way. Then another way it weren't. And me missus and myself are living with our sister's family now.
Mm-hmm.
Never did see much of my wife's sister and her family afore that. Just couldn't seem to get on somehow. You know how families is, always bickering and quarrelling. But somehow the war changed all that. Get along together fine now.
I think that's wonderful, Mr. Higgins.
Then again, miss, the war taught a lot of us to see the true value of things. Time, for instance. Now, you take time. An awful lot of it used to be wasted. Well, it ain't no more. Why, fish and chips, miss, I can remember when we... Blimey.
What's wrong?
This here's your stop, miss, and I haven't half started to tell you what I wanted to say.
Well, don't you worry about it, Mr. Higgins. I've got your address. I'll drop in some night this week if you don't mind, and we can have a long chat.
I come for dinner, why don't you, miss?
Well,
bring the boy with you. My wife's sister... makes the tastiest bluff you ever set your teeth to.
Oh, all right, Mr. Higgins, I will.
What you said, miss? Hey, oh. Well, we'll be expecting you, miss. Don't you forget now.
I won't. Bye. Nice of him to invite us to dinner, wasn't it, Jim?
I guess so. If he doesn't stop calling me a boy.
No.
Is he over 12, miss?
Now, come on, Jim. Let's cross the street to our boarding house. You're just getting sensitive in your old age.
Yeah. Well, gee,
Jimmy, watch your step. You almost walked right in front of that truck.
Oh, gosh. Everything's so mixed up over here. Just the opposite from America. Now, what's the sense of people driving on the left-hand side of the road?
What's the sense of them driving on the right-hand, for that matter? Well, here's our boarding house. Let's go in. After you've had dinner,
pardonnez-moi, je suis désolée.
I'm sorry, I wasn't looking.
Oh, no, mademoiselle. I entirely am to blame.
Well, there's no harm done. I think I knocked that package out of your hand when I ran in.
Oh, yeah. Here you are, miss.
Oh, merci, monsieur. You are staying at this pension?
Yes, I am. We have the 2 front rooms on the 2nd floor.
Oh, I too live here with my papa.
Oh?
We are on the 2nd floor also.
Shall we go up together? Well, of course. Let me introduce myself. I'm Lois Lane, and this is Jimmy Olsen.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Giroux is my name. Cadet Giroux. You have not been here long.
No, as a matter of fact, we just arrived last night. At Hendon, that is. We came to London this morning.
You are not English?
No, American.
Do you have a special reason for coming to England?
Well, we...
pardonnez-moi. It is none of my affair. I am wrong to ask.
Oh, not at all. I'm a newspaper reporter.
Oh, I see.
Well, here's my door. Maybe we'll see you at dinner tonight?
Perhaps. Bonsoir.
Good night. He seems like an awfully nice.
Miss Lane, holy mackerel.
Hello, Jim.
What?
Sorry, I frightened you, Lois.
What? Mr. Kane.
What in the world did you...
Darling.
Wait a minute.
Gee,
Wait a minute, Jim. Wait a minute. Take it easy.
But where did you come from? We thought you were dead.
I almost was, but thanks to Superman, I'm pretty much alive.
Superman?
Yes, I admit I never believed in him before, Lois, but, well, I'm forced to from now on.
What do you mean?
Yeah, what happened?
Well, as you know, I was in my cabin when the plane crashed.
Yes, go on.
Well, after the crash, the plane began to sink immediately, and, well, I was trapped.
Yes?
The water was coming in fast, and there was no way of getting out.
Well, what'd you do?
Well, nothing I could do, Jim. The last thing I remember was choking and gasping and swallowing water as it rose over my head.
How did you get here?
Well, when I came to, I found myself flying through the air, strapped to someone in a blue suit and a red cloak.
Strapped to him?
Yes, he had his hands full holding up that plane, and he had strapped me to him with his belt. The way I figured it, he must have got me out of that cabin somehow.
Well, I don't see how he knew you were in there.
I don't either, but it's the only way I can account for it.
Well, what happened next? You must have been with him when we landed at Hendon Aerodrome.
I guess I was, although I don't remember. You see, I fainted.
What?
I must admit to it, I fainted. The excitement was too much for me, I'm afraid. All I know is I came to this morning in a bed in a farmhouse just outside London. The farmer told me that he heard a knock on the door late last night, and when he opened the door, there I was, out cold.
Oh, I don't know. There's something awfully strange about your explanation, Clark. Well, it just sounds funny.
Oh, who cares, Miss Lane? He's here. That's the important thing. Gosh, Mr. Kent, am I glad to see you. Golly.
You know enough to come here, Clark.
Huh?
We didn't know where we'd be staying ourselves until this morning.
I've only been here about 10 minutes. I figured you'd have to go to the American consul to fix things up for Jimmy, so I called him. You had just left, he said, and were on your way over to Scotland Yard, and he gave me your address. The landlady let me in here after I convinced her it was all right.
I see. Come in. Oh, is that what I didn't expect? Is that what is it? What's wrong?
Listen to me. I've not much time. They've done it to me.
Done it to you? What are you talking about?
My father. You must protect my father. Or they will get him, too.
They? What do you mean by they?
I mean the tiny men.
Oh, Captain!
Got her.
Yvette! Clark, what's happened?
She's dead. Probably poisoned. By the tiny men.
The tiny men? Gosh.
Once again, the deadly tiny men have struck. We know, though Kent does not, that Dr. Veit and his henchman Muller must be in England, for they control the tiny men. Little men no taller than an ordinary milk bottle. Can Superman solve the riddle of the tiny men? Be sure to listen on Monday, same time, same station. Tune in and follow the adventures of Superman.
Yes, be sure to tune in again Monday for another thrilling Superman episode. And don't forget what else you're going to do. You're going to buy war stamps as often as you can get Mother and Dad to give you a dime. You know when you see that big capital S on a three-cornered shield, you'll recognize it as the emblem of Superman, and you'll know at once what it stands for. Likewise, when you see the capital letters U.S. on a war-saving stamp or bond, you'll recognize them as the emblem of Uncle Sam, and it represents a pledge from Uncle Sam to you, his pledge to use every dime you lend him for more bullets and guns and planes, and all the other things the American armed forces need to win a smashing victory from the Nazis and the Japs. So don't put off buying war stamps. Buy one every time you've got a dime. Uncle Sam's depending on you.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look! Up in the sky! It's a bird!
It's a plane!
It's Superman!
Follow the adventures of Superman every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Superman is written and directed by George Lothar and is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look! Up in the sky! The bird! The plane! It's Superman!
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from another world, who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper for truth, justice, and the American way. But before we join Superman, here's fellows and girls, somewhere in the Solomon Islands, there are a lot of big, tough, fighting Marines. And they're carrying guns that you may have helped to buy for them. That is, if you've been buying your share of war-saving stamps for victory. You see, every single dime you exchange for a war-saving stamp helps to buy the guns and bullets, planes and bombs, the ships and the shells that are going to lick the Nazis and the Japs. Now, we know that all red-blooded Americans can't actually wear Uncle Sam's uniform. Because some of us are too young or too old to join the Army or Navy. But there is one big, important way we can help. We can lend our money to into the hands of American fighting men. Why, do you know that your dime spent for a war stamp is the same dime used to buy 5 .45 caliber bullets? I guess you know, too, and the Japs and the Nazis certainly do, what a Marine can do with 5 bullets. And speaking of sailors, you might be interested to learn that every time you buy 5 war stamps, that same 50 cents buys enough fuel oil to carry a destroyer a full mile closer to its objective. Now, that makes buying war stamps pretty exciting, doesn't it? Now, look, let's make a promise to ourselves right now. Let's promise to buy war-saving stamps every week regularly. And you can help even more than that. You can get your friends and your mother and father and all the people you know to buy war stamps and bonds regularly. They'll want to help, too, when you explain to them how important it is for all of us to do our share to help our brothers and friends in uniform in this war, and we've got to help them. So remember, every time you've got a dime, buy a war-saving stamp. And now, the adventures of Superman. In London, acting as foreign correspondents for the Daily Planet, Clark Kent and Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen, too, have been caught in a web of mystery surrounding the tiny men, strange creatures who are no taller than a 12-inch ruler. In our last episode, we heard how our friends made the acquaintance of Professor Giraud, who, although once a teacher of chemistry and science at the Sorbonne University in Paris, is now a humble attendant at Madame Tussaud's famous waxworks in London. Professor Giraud is guarding a secret which the Nazi Gestapo is anxious to get its hands on. As our last episode ended, our friends were discussing the mystery of the tiny men with Professor Giraud when an air raid started. A bomb crashed through the house and became lodged in the center of the room. Suddenly, Kent realized that falling timbers and debris had cut off that exit through the door. They were trapped in a dark room in the center of which lay a delayed action bomb. Listen.
The doorway's blocked with falling timbers. We're caught in here. We can't get out.
No,
We gotta get out. That's a delayed action bomb and may go off any second. Leaping mackerel, Mr. Kent. Isn't there anything you can do?
What can I do, Jim?
Well, I don't know, but golly, we gotta do something or we're finished. Can't we get out through the window?
The windows, as I told you, are nailed shut.
Oh, good grief. Let's bust them and get out of here.
The two-story drop to the ground. There is no fire escape.
Oh.
This is a job for Superman. But first, I'd better pretend to pass out as Clark Kent. They'll never see me in the dark.
What are you saying, Clark?
I can't stand this nervous tension. My nerves never were anything good, I tell you. Physical violence of any sort frightens me just the way those tiny men frighten you. Tiny men frighten you. I feel faint.
Oh, gosh, Mr. Kent, try to... Oh, she's passed out cold.
Well, that cream puff always was a big help when the going got tough.
What's that? What was that noise?
I don't know, Jimmy. I'd say that someone had pulled that bomb out of the floor.
Someone did. Look, a shadow by the window.
You're right, Jimmy. And it looks to me like... Jimmy! Jimmy!
It is, Miss Lane. It is, Miss Lane. It's the shadow of Superman. And he's got that bomb in his arms. Hey, Superman!
Through the window. Up, and away!
Thank heaven I managed to get out of that room with this bomb before it went off. Hello, is that a Nazi bomb? Well, I think we may have... Now, just poke my index finger through the steel. So, push the pin down to set off the chemical firing mixture. Is right, this bomb ought to explode just as it hits that bomber. Look out, right back into your lap. Practically blew him out of the sky. Nice hunting indeed.
You say that house is where Sherlock Holmes lived, Mr. Kent?
Yes, Jimmy?
Well, did Sherlock Holmes actually exist?
Well, that's a question, Jim. But I can tell you that a lot of people believe he did. The London Post Office receives thousands of letters every year addressed to Sherlock Holmes at this address.
Gosh, he sure was a great detective. We could use somebody like him to clean up the mystery of the tiny men.
We could also use somebody to clean up the mystery of the missing. Report to me how you came to be missing from Professor Giroux's apartment last night after the lights went on.
Well, I said
Well, at least you haven't explained it to my satisfaction.
I told you I jumped out of the window.
Oh, Clark.
Well, people do crazy things under the influence of
Well,
fear.
it seems mighty queer to me. 1 minute you're lying on the floor in a cold faint, and then when the lights go on, we hear you crawling from the ground below, crying your head off about a sprained ankle.
Twisted it when I fell.
Oh, I see.
Lucky I didn't break my neck.
Lucky for whom? And another thing, that ankle of yours doesn't look any more sprained to me than mine does.
Whoa.
Well, it's not swollen or anything.
Hey, listen, you two. If we don't hurry, we're going to be late for our appointment with Professor Giroux at Madame Tussauds Waxworks.
It's just around the corner. We won't be late. Come on.
Gosh, I can hardly wait to see Madame Tussauds. Did the professor say he'd show us through the whole exhibit?
Certainly did, Jim.
The Chamber of Horrors and everything?
Oh, Jimmy, you're impossible.
I wouldn't mention the Chamber of Horrors, Jim. You see, it's an exhibit of notorious murders and things of that sort. And considering what happened last night...
Yeah, that's right. I ought to have thought of that.
Well, just remember not to mention it again. Well, here we are at Madame Tussauds. And sure enough, there's Professor Giroux in his attendance uniform.
What a pity to think of a man with his intellect working at a job like that.
Might be worse. At least it serves as a means of livelihood until he can go back to France and take up his duties at the university again. Oh, Professor, good afternoon.
Bonjour, my friend.
Good afternoon, Professor.
I have arranged for you already the tickets. Coming to this way, through the turnstile.
Oh, thank you. That's nice.
Gee, it's quite a place. Look at that huge, wide stairway going up to the second floor.
That is where the exhibits are. All that is for the Chamber of Horrors.
Huh?
And that is in this cellar. We will visit that later.
Oh, gosh, we thought... Huh? Oh, yeah.
Jimmy, I am not sure if the exhibit of historical figures is open yet. Would you mind asking that attendant standing over there?
Oh, not at all. Be glad to. Excuse me, sir. Could you tell me if the exhibit of historical figures is open yet? Mister, I said, could you tell me... Jumping Jiminy. He's made of wax. I thought he was a real man. You sure got to hand it to Madame Tussauds.
Madame Tussauds, Jimmy, was a supreme artist. Her wax statues are more lifelike than the people themselves.
I can believe that.
Well, come, my friends, let us go up the stairs to the exhibit.
Professor, I understand visitors can buy small wax statues as souvenirs. Are they expensive?
I do not really know, mademoiselle. You might ask that attendant standing there.
Very well. Oh, no. You can't play the same trick twice, Professor.
Can I help you, miss?
Oh, why, he is real. I thought he was made of wax.
Don't argue, miss, if I may say so.
I should say it is.
Come, my friends, this way. It is a deliberate trick, you see, having some attendants made of wax and some real. The real ones stand perfectly motionless, so that it is almost impossible, after a time, to tell which is which.
That's a wonderful joke. Say, what's in this small room off here?
That is the room of fairy tales.
Oh.
To my own mind, it is the finest part of the exhibit. I am especially in love with this sleeping beauty. Come, I will show her to you.
Gosh, what a room. Each exhibit has its own special light.
Yes, a special spotlight for each one, in different colors, of course.
Uh-huh.
The lights set the mood. There, for instance, is Sleeping Beauty, and there is a soft blue light on her.
Oh, isn't it lovely, Clark? Sleeping Beauty lying on that couch and the young prince bending over her, about to kiss her and wake her up. Oh, it's enchanting.
Hey, look. She's breathing.
What?
Sure, look. Her hands are folded across her, and they're rising and falling as she breathes.
Isn't that amazing?
It is indeed. A most startling realistic effect. There is a little bellows inside the figure, operated by a small motor.
Oh.
Yes, she is indeed the most beautiful creature I have ever set eyes on.
Why, Professor, you sound as if she were actually alive.
Sometimes to me she seems that... Oh, well, never mind. Here is the next fairy tale examining the dragon with a javelin.
Oh, hey, Scott, that is realistic.
You are right. As a matter of fact, it looks more realistic to me than usual. It has probably been touched up by the artists in the past few days.
And do you have a staff of artists who go about touching up these exhibits?
Oh, yes, the statues require a good deal of care.
Hey, golly, look at this exhibit over here.
What is it, Jim?
Well, it's Gulliver in the land of the Lilliputians.
Lilliputians, Jim. Fusions, Jim. Really? That should be interesting. Let's have a look. What's the matter, Professor? Something wrong?
No. It is nothing. It is only that those Lilliputians, they are so like the tiny men.
Oh, yes, of course. Jim does manage to put his foot into things now and then, Professor.
It's all right. Come, do not let us spoil the boys' fun.
Gosh, look how big Gulliver is and how small those men are. Golly, I'll bet they look just like the tiny men. Don't they, Miss Lane?
Yes, Jim, they do. As a matter of fact, they are about the same size. It gives me a queer feeling just to look at them.
Now, take it easy, Lois.
Just the sight of something like that, harmless as it is, it brings back let's look at another exhibit.
All right. Let's take a look at this. Wait a minute.
What's the matter, Clark? What is it?
I thought I saw... I did see it. Look. One of those Lilliputians is... Look. One of those Lilliputians is moving.
Hey, moving. It's coming right toward us.
Oh, yes, you know what? It is one of the tiny men.
What do we do?
Stand where you are. Don't move.
Oh, Clark.
Look.
Clark.
The little figure's stopping. It's lifting its arm.
Oh, golly.
It's pointing a finger at you, Professor. I cannot... Here, Lois, you make me fainted.
Oh, gosh, she's always just when things are getting excited.
Easy does it, Professor. It's a trick, you hear? A trick. Let me handle it. What was that?
Something moved at the other side of the room.
Look.
Jimmy, what?
The Black Knight. He's moving, too.
What?
He's raising that javelin. Look out. He's going to throw it at the professor.
Well, strange things seem to be happening in the fairy tale room at Madame Tussaud's Waxworks in London. It begins to look as if we may be reaching a solution to the mystery of the tiny men. For with Superman on the scene, even in his disguise of Clark Kent, you may be certain nothing will escape him. In any event, be sure to hear the next thrill-packed episode. Tune in and follow The Adventures of Superman.
Yes, be sure to tune in again tomorrow for another thrilling Superman episode. And don't forget what else you're going to do tomorrow. You're going to buy war stamps as often as you can get Mother or Dad to give you a dime. Now, you know when you see that big capital S on a three-cornered shield, you'll recognize it as the emblem of Superman, and you know at once what that stands for. Likewise, when you see the capital letters U.S. on a war-saving stamp or bond, you'll recognize them as the emblem of Uncle Sam. And Uncle Sam. And it represents a pledge from Uncle Sam to you. His pledge to use every dime you lend him when you buy war-saving stamps for more bullets and guns and planes and all the other things the American armed forces need to win a smashing victory from the Nazis and the Japs. So don't put off buying war stamps. Buy one every time you've got a dime. Uncle Sam is depending on you.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look! Up in the sky! It's a bird!
It's a plane!
It's Superman! Follow the adventures of Superman tomorrow and every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Superman is written and directed by George Lothar and is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine.
This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Kellogg's Pep, the build-up wheat cereal, invites you to rocket into the future with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet.
Stand by to raise ship. Blast off. -5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
As roaring rockets blast off to distant planets and far-flung stars, we take you to the age of the conquest of space with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. It's a quiet day at Space Academy. And in their dormitory room, cadets Tom Corbett and Roger Manning are taking some time off for a bit of intensive study. Suddenly, the silence is broken by a message on the intercom.
Attention, please. Attention, please. Cadets Corbett and Manning report to briefing room number 3 on the double. Cadets Corbett and Manning on the double to briefing room 3.
Number 3, that'll be the next door, Roger.
Wait a minute, Tom. Let me cross my fingers.
For what?
Luck. I only hope it's Captain Strong and not Commander Arkwright in there.
What's the difference? If you're in a jam, you're in a jam.
Not quite. The captain just sort of trims my chest, but the commander, he blasts them.
Fingers all crossed?
And toes. Let's go. No commander. Thank Jupiter.
How do you do, gentlemen?
How do you do, sir?
Cadets Corbett and Manning.
That's right, sir.
Permit me to introduce myself, Colonel Roscoe Wilberforce.
Colonel?
The rank is an honorary one. Here, these orders from Commander Arkwright will better explain my presence.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Wilberforce. That's a familiar name, sir.
It should be, my boy. To make it known, I've spent enough credits to have it emblazoned across the sky in letters of fire. I, Cadet, and the proprietor and sole owner of Wilberforce's worldwide circus, the greatest show on earth.
Of course. I remember seeing it when I was a kid.
Well, Grandpa, you're going to see a lot more of it.
You've read the orders?
Yes, sir.
What cooks, Tom?
We're being placed on detached service and charged with transporting the Colonel's circus to the planet Venus.
A circus?
Not a, my boy. The circus.
Through space, I may be blast happy, but I don't get it.
A cultural mission of the greatest magnitude, Cadet Manning. An interplanetary circus. Yes, for the first time, the greatest show on Earth shall become the greatest show in the universe.
We're transporting a 3-ring circus through space.
Only one, my boy. This is in the nature of an experiment.
The orders say that you have a space freighter for transportation.
That's right, Cadet Corbett. The Leo. Most suitably named for the first lion I ever owned. A splendid beast.
Which brings up another point. Are there going to be animals in this space circus, Colonel?
But of course, lad. What circus would be a circus without animals? We'll be transporting my star act, Princess Marja, and her 20 ferocious felines.
20?
You think that's too many?
I think 1 is too many.
Roger. We can't actually say, Colonel, until we see the ship and its loading and storage facilities.
Excellent. I have a jet car outside to take us to the spaceport.
Are your animal men handy so that we can discuss the problem with them?
Princess Marja herself is there with my chief animal handler, Vance Tremor.
Princess? Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go.
That's it, Princess.
Are all the cats fed, Vance?
Tearing the meat apart and purring like kittens. When's the Colonel going to show up with those space jockeys?
Well, he left the academy a few minutes ago. Ought to be here shortly.
Think I got time to get a bite before they show up?
Sure, go ahead, Vance. Just tell me where you'll be in case we need you, huh?
Down at the spaceport cafeteria. I'll see you in about 20 minutes.
Hello, Vance.
Hi, Mr. Dimitro.
You're late. What kept you?
Feeding the cats. Here, let me punch up my food order. This apple pie, cup of coffee. That's all. As soon as I get my food, we can talk. Okay. Now, what's on your mind, Mr. Dimitro?
Can't you guess?
I ain't bad. Well, now, my guess would be you won't offer me a job with your circus.
Let's suppose you're right. I got a good outfit. Not as big as Wilberforce's, but it can be.
Not if he pulls off this interplanetary tour. With all the publicity and advertising he'll get, your show won't draw a fly.
I know that. But suppose he can't pull it off. The publicity will backfire. What's more, he'll lose a fortune in credits.
Which could put him out of business and leave you without competition. Well, what's your offer?
Offer?
Don't be coy, Mr. Dimitro. You want me to sabotage, ruin the Wilberforce show. So what'll you pay?
Blunt, aren't you?
I get to the point, that's all.
Good. Shall we say 50,000 credits?
I never did like round numbers. I prefer percentages.
Meaning?
I do the job and we're partners. I get a 50% interest in your show.
Half the show? That's ridiculous.
Half of something is better than all of nothing.
Outrageous. I certainly...
And nothing's what you'll have if this interplanetary stunt works. We got a deal?
Look here,
Is it a deal?
I can't give... All right. It's a deal.
Good. And we're partners.
What do you plan to do?
I don't know yet. But you can bet your last credit on this, partner. Wilberforce's circus is never going to give a performance on Venus. Or, for that matter, anywhere else.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment, so stand by.
Say, spaceman, have you sent for your space goggles yet? Well, if you haven't, listen carefully. The time to get this special Space Cadet equipment is now. Ask Mom to get a package of Kellogg's Pep. You'll enjoy that hearty whole wheat flavor. And Kellogg's Pep helps you take advantage of this exciting Space Cadet offer. These official space goggles are the same kind worn by Tom Corbett, Astro, and Roger Manning out in space. In fact, every cadet is issued space goggles by Space Academy Supply Headquarters. Now, here's where you come in. Supply Headquarters now has space goggles ready for all spacemen. They're ready to send them out to you right now. Oh, wait till you see these goggles, spacemen. They're made of one sweeping curved piece of clear, colored plastic, like a giant bubble covering both eyes. These goggles are designed for high-speed action, while you want to use them every time you're out on skates, on a bike, or riding in a car. Now, here's how to get your own official space goggles. Send 25 cents, 1 Kellogg's Pep Box Top, and your name and address. Now, make sure you write that down, spaceman. 25 cents, 1 Kellogg's Pep Box Top, and your name and address. Now, send them to Kellogg's, Box 346, Battle Creek, Michigan. Repeat, Kellogg's, Box 346, Battle Creek, Michigan. Be ready to blast off like a real space cadet. Send for your official space goggles today.
Tom Corbett and Roger Manning are on detached service from Space Academy under orders to help transport an Earth circus to the planet Venus. Now, with circus owner Roscoe Wilberforce, they arrive at the spaceport, where the circus is ready to be loaded aboard the space freighter Leo.
Oh, I have been waiting for you, Colonel.
Meet Cadets Corbett and Manning. And this, gentleman, is Marja, mistress of 20 ferocious felines.
Keep the dealing, Colonel. My friends call me Maggie O'Neill.
Swell. I definitely plan on being friends.
How nice.
Marja, the boys are going to supervise the loading of our space freighter. They want to see what plans you've made for transporting the cats.
All right, Colonel, I'll show them the setup.
I'm going to check up on some financial details. If you need me, I'll be in the box office car.
I'm sure Miss O'Neill can take care of us, Colonel.
I know she can.
Yes, of course. I'll see you later.
All right, gentlemen, if you'll follow me.
It'll be a pleasure.
Simmer down, space boy. This is business.
Tell me, gorgeous, how did a dreamy space doll like you ever become an animal trainer?
At a very early age, I got my start taming wolves. Like you.
Oh.
Satisfied, Roger?
I feel a drop in the temperature.
suddenly become as cold as the rings of Saturn.
Well, let's go into the menagerie tent. My big cats can always make it hot for you.
Come on, Roger, let's go.
And here's the last of my beauties. Cecil, meet some space jockeys.
He doesn't sound like a Cecil. Hey, don't put your hand in there.
He likes to have his ears rubbed. Got a bit of wolf in him.
Wolf?
Yes. Go ahead, Mr. Manning. Rub his ears.
Thanks, but I've still got a lot of use for this arm.
So I gathered. Too bad. You know the old saying, love me, love my cat.
I think you've met your match, Roger. Well, Miss O'Neill, where are the shipping cages?
Why, the ones they're in. We've always used them on the tour.
Well, this is a little more than a tour, especially for 20 animals.
But why can't you...
You see, miss, when a rocket ship blasts off, everything has to be fastened down tight, including the crew.
I don't get it. What's the problem?
On blast-off, if those animals aren't secure, they'll be thrown to the floor of their cages with enormous force, enough to kill them, perhaps. Sure, you're just going to have to tie your pets down, sweetheart.
Very funny, Mr. Manning. Very funny.
No, Miss O'Neill, Roger means it. Tell me, when the cats get sick, how does the veterinarian treat them? If he's smart, he shoots them.
Those animals are worth 5,000 credits apiece. You don't shoot 5,000 credits. You use the vet's cage over there.
This one with the straps?
Uh-huh.
Oh, how does it work?
Well, the sick animal's prodded into the cage. Mm-hmm. We snag his feet, throw him down, and then pass those leather straps over the animal.
Which straps him down so he can't move at all.
Right. That way, a vet can even pull an animal's tooth and has.
Some fun. There's our answer. Equip 20 cages with straps, tie the animals down for blast-off, and release them afterwards.
Oh, we could do that.
Wait, look, honey, as far as I'm concerned... As far as you're concerned, Roger, you'd better start developing an affection for cats. Huh? Yeah, go ahead. All right. Pretty kitty. Nice kitty. You're crazy, Cadet.
All right, Vance. When I open the cage, you start prodding Cleopatra into the other cage.
Cleopatra yet?
Tom and Roger, as soon as her paws get in those loops, pull her up against the bars of the cage. Then Vance and I'll anchor her to the floor.
Okay, we're ready.
Well, here goes. Poke her, Vance.
Go on, Cleo, move.
She doesn't want to.
Wait. Here she comes. Watch it. She's almost in the loops.
We're watching.
That's it. Yank! Hold her, boys. Come on, Vance.
Pull harder, Roger, pull. She's doing some pulling herself. Keep it tight. Like the tune from ancient history. Hold that tiger. Roger, don't make jokes. Keep the rope taut.
She's getting one paw loose.
Watch out, Cadet. Watch out!
Oh! She got me. Rip my arm. Keep the rope taut, Roger, whatever you do. I got it. My arm feels like it's on fire. I can see. Cleo sliced right through your uniform jacket. You're bleeding. Tell me something I don't know.
Hold tight, boys, while I get this strap through it.
Watch out for that free paw.
I will. Here, take it, Vance.
I got it.
Few more seconds, boys.
All right.
There. That's it. You can release the rope. She's secure now.
And unhappy. Look at those eyes glaze at us. I never saw anything worse, even on the dark side of Mercury.
I think it's going to work, Vance.
Yeah, if my arms hold out. Let me look at that scratch, Rog. Yeah, I don't think Cleo's claws didn't do much more than scratch the skin, fortunately. But we better get you over to the spaceport infirmary right away. I'm all right. I can take it, Junior. Let's not run the risk of infection. We'll get the arm fixed, and then, well, there's only 19 more cats to go. Only? By Jupiter, Tom, I want to get in outer space, where the only thing we'll have to worry about is bumping into a nice, gentle asteroid. Everything okay on the good ship Leo, Rog? Yeah, Junior. We blasted clear without any trouble, which is a surprise to me, I must admit. How's the arm? Okay, just stings a little once in a while. Oh, good. Then we're on our way and in pretty good shape.
Yeah, considering the mission we're on, yeah.
Personally, Roger, I think it could be fun.
Sure, 1 million laughs. Corbett and Manning, the cosmic clowns. I'll bet we wind up doing an act with this outfit. We'll be the rage of Venus.
You've got enough ham in you to do it.
I'm ignoring you. And speaking of Venus reminds me, I better go down and check the animals again.
Especially the one called Princess Marcia.
Could be, Junior, could be.
How often do you want her to trim your jets, Roger?
That, Thomas, was on Earth. Manning never functions properly as an Earthling. Space is my element. But you'll have to excuse me now. I must instruct the princess in the mysteries of space travel.
Go ahead, Roger. But one thing.
Yeah?
When she takes your head off and hands it to you, bring it back here. I've always wanted a solid ivory bowling ball.
And this, Margie, is the control deck.
Oh, fascinating, Roger.
Hey, who? Oh, Roger. The princess wanted to see the control deck.
Oh, sure.
Roger's been showing me over the ship.
And note the head, Tom, still on the shoulders.
Huh?
Just a private joke, Miss O'Neill.
No. I prefer Marcia or Maggie.
Right, Marcia. Oh, by the way, has Roger told you yet that taking you to Venus is like...
Junior. Marcia, they call Venus the beauty of the planets. Well, taking you to Venus is like carrying...
Uranium to Pluto.
Roger, I think I detect that odor of wolf again.
Oh, Margie, you got me all wrong. I'm just...
You're going to wish you were, Roger.
Huh?
Both of you turn very quietly. Look at the hatchway. We've got company.
What are you...
Cats! How'd they get loose?
A tiger and 2 lions. Tom!
Don't move. I'll handle this.
Thanks, Margie, but I've got more faith in the parallel array. Tom, use yours.
I haven't got one. Remember, this is a commercial flight.
Well, there must be one on board.
Sure, in the weapons locker right outside.
Maybe I can slip past you. Oh, I guess I can't. Tom, those cats, they're getting ready to spring.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett in just a moment, so stand by.
Special report from Space Academy Supply Headquarters, Earth, to all space stations. Subject, official space goggles. Supply Headquarters reports all groups working full strength, day and night shifts, issuing official space goggles to all spacemen. Delivery to space stations on outer planets will follow shortly. Interview with Commander Arkwright specifically requests your fullest cooperation.
Spaceman, this is Commander Arkwright. As you heard in that report, we're going full speed ahead to make sure we have your space goggles ready for you. Now, here's what to expect. Space goggles are not like any other goggles you've ever seen. They're a one-piece plastic bubble that fits over both eyes at the same time. A sweeping plastic plate that protects your eyes from wind, dust, and dirt. It's a valuable piece of equipment for every spaceman to have. That's why I want you all to send for your space goggles as soon as possible. Now I'm going to play a special telerecorder message with complete instructions on how to get your official space goggles. Listen carefully and write down the necessary details.
To get official space goggles, send 25 cents, 1 Kellogg's Pep box top, your name and address. Repeat, 25 cents, 1 Kellogg's Pep box top, your name and address. Send to this address, Kellogg's, Box 346, Battle Creek, Michigan. Repeat, Kellogg's, Box 346, Battle Creek, Michigan.
There are your orders, spaceman. Send for your space goggles right away.
Earth's largest circus, the Wilberforce Mighty Show, is making the first interplanetary trip ever attempted by a big top organization. And Space Cadets Tom Corbett and Roger Manning have been placed in charge of the expedition. Part of their cargo is a wild animal act. Now, 3 of the big cats have somehow escaped from their cages and confront the cadets and Princess Marcia on the space freighter's control deck. They stand there, weaponless, the path to the arms locker blocked by a tiger and 2 large lions.
Tom, the cats will be on us in a moment.
Easy. I can control them. Quiet, babies. Quiet. Give me that stool.
Okay, here.
We've got to get to the arms locker. Marcia can't lead those cats around like tabbies.
So you go, Tom. And kiss Cleopatra for me on the way. Nice, pussy, nice.
All right, baby. Easy.
Roger. Those magnetic sole shoes. Get them.
What?
Make like Cinderella. Put them on Marja's feet.
Well, what are you going to do?
Deactivate the gravity stabilizer. Throw the ship into free fall.
What'll happen? All right, Cleopatra. Rex, do not get excited.
We'll be wearing magnetized shoes, so we'll stay on the metal floor. But without gravity, the animals will float in the air. Then I can get through, grab a parallel ray gun, and retake them.
Lift your foot, Princess. I'll put the shoe on.
Now, careful, Roger. Don't let them think you're hurting me.
I wouldn't want them to think that for the universe. Now the other foot.
Easy, baby. Easy. Down, Georgina.
Okay, Roger. Yeah, throw the ship in a free fall.
Easy, baby. Easy. What a sight. They are floating.
Come on, Roger. Let's get those parallel rays.
It is all right, babies. It will be over soon.
Give me one of those. Here. I'll freeze Cleo.
My pets. Statues. Drifting statues.
And she's sorry for them yet.
Oh, get them down, please. Which motor did you turn on?
Don't touch anything, Marja. Turn that gravity stabilizer on and they'll crash down and break some bones.
Give me a hand. We'll pull them down on deck.
Okay.
Wait till I tell my grandchildren how Roger Manning twisted a tiger by the tail.
Don't you hurt her, Roger.
Oh, she can't feel anything, Marja.
But she can see and hear you. The ray doesn't affect that.
Hey, that's right. I better make friends. Nice pussy. Nice pussy. See, I rubbed her ears.
Stand by. I'm going to turn the stabilizer on. Now, let's get these animals back in their cages.
Check, Tom. I like tiger rugs, but not with the tiger in them. All back in their cages now, Tom, so we can release them from the parallel ray and have a nice, peaceful trip the rest of the way.
I wouldn't count on that, Roger.
Why not?
Look at the lock on this cage.
Broken.
And not by the blast-off thrust. It's been deliberately smashed. My guess is that somebody on this ship doesn't want us or the circus to reach Venus.
But who?
That, Roger, is what's going to keep us busy for the rest of this trip. Because there's one thing we can be sure of. Whoever did this is going to try again.
Don't miss the next action-packed adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, on Thursday, when Tom and Roger discover the traitor in their midst and pursue him through space. A race against death in Part 2 of The Greatest Show in the Universe. Tune in, same time, same station for the next thrilling interplanetary adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. Brought to you by Kellogg's Pep, the build-up wheat cereal. Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, starring Frankie Thomas, can also be seen on television and appears in the comic sections of many of America's leading newspapers. Look for it daily and in weekend editions. Featured in the cast are Jan Merlin, John Griggs, Leon Janney, and Connie Lemke. Today's program was written by Palmer Thompson, directed by Drex Hines. Jackson Beck speaking.
Kellogg's Raisin Bran, raisins and bran flakes too. They're out of this world, they're out of one package. Kellogg's Raisin Bran. Kellogg's raisins are honeycomb coated to keep them tender, the bran flakes crisper. Kellogg's Raisin Bran, raisins and bran flakes too. They're out of this world, they're out of one package. Kellogg's Raisin Bran. Eat Kellogg's Raisin Bran. Eat Kellogg's Raisin Bran. Eat Kellogg's.
Tired of the everyday grind?
Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all? We offer you Escape.
Designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
You are high on the frozen slopes of a great mountain, terrified and caught in a blizzard, while the thing for which you've been hunting has suddenly become the hunter. And if it finds you, then for you and your companions, there can be no escape.
So listen now as Escape brings you Anthony Ellis's exciting story, The Abominable Snowman.
First bit of luck was when we hired our Sherpa guide, Nasang. That was in Darjeeling. When I told Nasang what we were after, he hesitated for a moment. And then he said,
The Sabs have not come to climb Shomolungma?
Oh, no, we're a little late for that. It's already been done. The other two Sabs and myself are here for the reason I told you.
Metokangmi?
That's right.
The Sabs always hire me to climb the mountain with them. But never this.
Are you afraid of them?
I have seen one.
You've seen one?
Yes, many of us have seen them.
Wait a minute. Alan.
Yeah. What's that?
I'm interviewing a Sherpa in here. He says he's seen one of the things.
Hey?
Where's Frank?
Went out to get some tobacco.
Yeah. All right, come on in. I think this is our man.
All right.
Nasang, this is Mr. Ferris.
Sad?
Hello, Nasang. Nasang was telling me about what he'd seen. Go ahead, Nasang.
It has a face that is evil. And when it saw me, it uttered a strange cry and bounded away. Sometimes leaping, sometimes running with great strides. It was dusk, and after a moment I lost sight of it in the snow.
Where were you?
With the French expedition. It was at 19,000 feet on Shomolungma.
How far were you from it?
30 feet, perhaps 35.
You're sure it wasn't an ape?
I am sure. There is no ape in the Himalaya to make such a track.
What about bears?
This too I have been asked. But does a bear walk always upon its hind legs?
Well, that's enough for me. Alan?
Yeah, he'll do.
Yeah. But if you want the job, Nasang, you're hired.
You are going to try to capture a Yeti?
Yes.
It will be a difficult thing, but I will serve with you.
Yeti, Wild Man, Metokangmi, Abominable Snowman. That's the name the natives had for the things, and Alan Ferris, Frank Davis, and I were going to try to get one. We'd all done some climbing, but climbing was secondary here. Expeditions since the beginning of the 20th century had heard of the Abominable Snowman, observed their tracks, and one or two white men claimed to have seen them. Great ape, bear, monkey, wild men, we didn't know. But we were going to find out. Four weeks later, we were in the Rongbuk Valley for our interview at the monastery with the Lama. The journey from our base had been uneventful. The weather was good, and our spirits were high. From the Lama's window, we could see the great peak of Everest in the distance.
Why, gentlemen, do you desire to capture Metokangmi?
Because, sir, we believe it will be an invaluable aid in our prehistoric research. That is, if these things are in any way human.
And for this reason, then, you have formed the expedition?
Yes.
You are all familiar with climbing?
Yes, we are.
You would need to be. The Yeti move at high places, dangerous places, so my people tell me. Also, the monsoons are arriving in a short time.
I understand that. Then do we have your permission to investigate in the valley and beyond?
You have my permission.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
There is one point, however. I must request that no wild animal or being in this valley be shot. Our religion does not allow it.
We'll respect your wishes, sir. Now, may I ask you one more thing?
Of course, my son.
Do you believe in the existence of Metokangmi?
I myself have never seen them, but I know that they live here, above the valley, on the goddess mother of the world. It is also true that at least 5, and possibly more, inhabit the upper Rongbuk and its glacier.
Thank you.
Do you have porters?
Our guide Nasang is hiring them now.
Yeah. I trust that he meets with good fortune.
The old man, with great dignity, bowed slightly to us, and we were dismissed. But I thought I saw the shadow of a smile on his lips as he turned away. And it wasn't long before I found out why. Nasang returned to us in our quarters, and his face warned of bad news.
Sir, I am unable to hire any porters.
But why not?
They know the purpose of the expedition. They will not go.
Why?
They are afraid.
Of the snowmen?
Yes. They live in peace with them. They wish no trouble. They are afraid.
Well, all right. It'll be rough, but we can't waste time talking them into it. The monsoons will be coming in a couple of weeks. It's not the same as climbing Everest. We'll travel light, just the 4 of us, set up a base and start hunting. All right with you, fellows?
Yeah, sure.
Nasang?
I will go with you. I am not afraid.
Good. Well, let's take a look at the map. Now, we'll each carry a capacity load. We should be able to make this point below the glacier in 2 days. That's 16,000 feet. And if our abominable snowmen are in the vicinity, we've got 2 weeks to find them.
When do we start?
Tomorrow. Good. Well, that's it.
Paul?
Yes, Frank.
One thing. What do the natives mean when they say they don't want any trouble with the thing?
Superstition, probably.
Oh, no, sir. It is not superstition. It is because the Yeti are cannibals. That is why the porters are afraid.
The weather turned ugly the day we left the village. A cold Tibetan wind blew down from the west, and with our heavy packs, it took us much longer than we'd thought to arrive at the point just below the Rongbuk Glacier. We set up our camp and made ourselves as comfortable as we could. The next morning wasn't so bad. There was a heavy overcast, a promise of snow, and the peak of Everest looming over us was shrouded in clouds. The 4 of us sat in the tent looking at our charts and drinking hot tea.
I figured it'd be easiest if we started at the East Glacier. It's only about 3 miles from here, and with the weather as stinking as it is, we won't run too much of a risk. What do you think, Paul?
Well, that sounds all right. What do you say we split up? You and Nasang, Alan and me. We'll work up on either side of the ridge. Here. And if we spot any tracks, fire 2 shots.
Yeah, good enough.
Now, the big thing, though, no matter what, don't shoot at the thing if you do see it. Okay? Okay. All right. If we lose touch with each other, we'll meet back here at 5. All right, let's get going. We'd left the base at 6 that morning, and the going was rough. Alan was pretty well shot by the time we got to the 17,000-foot mark. He was having a tough time breathing, and the wind had come up again. And with it, a fine, powdery snow that blinded, choked us.
Hey, I gotta take 5.
All right. Here, move over here. Might cut some of the wind.
Oh, that's better.
Oh, we might as well start back for the base. We couldn't see anything in this anyhow.
You know, right now, I don't care whether we do or not.
This is good weather. Wait until the monsoon starts.
No, not me. Oh, I'm cold. I've never been so cold in all my life.
We stayed in the half shelter of an overhang for 10 minutes. The wind was quieter and the snow had let up. I noticed that the tracks we'd made coming into the shelter were gone now, but we didn't have any worry finding our way back. I figured that Frank and Nassang had met pretty much the same thing on their side of the ridge, and we'd meet them at the base. So Alan and I picked ourselves up and started off.
Boy, I thought I was in pretty good shape, but up here, boy, I'm nothing. Oh, Paul, I'm tired again.
We'll just take it easy going down. You haven't got frostbite, have you?
No, not yet, but...
What?
The left there.
Yeah.
They're not our tracks, are they?
Not unless you took your boots off on the way up.
Must have just passed by. It must have seen us.
Yeah. Come on. We were looking at a set of tracks newly made in the fresh snow. And they'd passed so close to our shelter that the thing must have known we were there. They weren't the tracks of a bear or an ape, but more like a splay-footed naked foot. The tracks of the Abominable Snowman.
We will return to Escape in just a moment, but first, 30 million school children make their way back to class this year. There are just 10 million too many for existing school facilities. Contact Better Schools, 2 West 45th Street, New York 19, for information on ending this menace to America's educational standards. And now, back to Escape.
We began to follow the tracks, and for a while, perhaps 150 yards, it was easy. And then the thing made a leftward traverse down a deep slope. We could see the prints clearly, angling with a sidestep, as sure-footed as a mountain goat, except that it was walking on 2 legs.
This way, Paul.
Take it easy, Al.
Getting steeper. Boy, that thing sure can climb.
Hold up. Alla.
I think
Hold it! And he dropped out of sight over the lip of the crevasse. We weren't roped together. I got as close as I dared to the edge. The loose snow crumbled away from my outstretched body. And I looked down into the blue-black darkness below, falling away into nothingness. He was gone. Finished. All I could think of was the noise he'd made when he went over. Surprised, angry, then silence. The crevasse might have been 500 feet. Or 5,000. Snow started to fall again. Big flakes this time and wet. I stood up. And across the gap 20 feet away, I saw the tracks of the thing, continuing on and away until they became lost in the blank whiteness of the glacier. It had jumped and landed still upright on the opposite side. I went back to the base. And an hour later, Frank and Nassang returned. I told them. And we were quiet for a long time. Then...
Paul, are we going out again tomorrow?
Why not?
I just wanted to.
We should go back. It is an omen.
I tell you, he was going too fast. He didn't have a chance to see the crevasse. That's not an omen. It's bad sense.
Metokangmi cannot be caught.
We'll catch him.
But there are only 3 of us. If we had a few more men...
I tell you, the thing was so close that if we'd looked up at the right time, we'd have seen it. You think I'm going to give up now? Next time we'll get it.
There was no chance to get Alan out.
No.
You think if we went back...
Listen, you think I don't want to? He's gone. I tried, but he's gone.
Okay. Okay. Wish that wind had let up.
Maybe by morning. We'll try again tomorrow. It was cold that night, and somehow colder because Alan was gone. I heard Frank tossing around, and I knew he was thinking about a body broken and lonely, lost somewhere in a deep and dark place. In the morning, the 3 of us packed our gear, camera, food. It was a light pack. We started up again. This time to a crest above the ridge. It was tougher than it looked, and we weren't even halfway up before we had to rest. And as I looked to the west, I saw clouds boiling up. Not white, but somber, threatening. And below, the valley looked grim, ugly gray. And then the sun was gone. And we kept on going up. And then I had a strange feeling. It was nothing I could see, nothing I could hear, only a sensation of being watched, followed. Wait a minute.
See something?
No.
I have felt it 2 sides.
Something following us?
Yes. It is Metokangmi.
How do you know?
It can be nothing else. At this height, there is nothing else that lives.
Maybe it's curious. No, don't turn around, Frank. Listen. When we get up to the crest, you 2 flop down. Stay in sight of the slope here.
What are you going to do?
Move around the hump and watch. If it thinks we're all together, it may come close enough to give us a chance to get it.
You better watch your step. It looks nasty.
I will. Now, come on. It took us another 15 minutes to get up to the crest, and then Frank and Nassang hunched down to rest. They were in clear view of the slope we just descended. I moved back out of sight and made my way toward the hump, which backed a long shelf on the north side of the crest. In a couple of minutes, I lost sight of them and of the slope. The wind had increased, and the clouds had spread now to become an iron gray canopy over the mountain. It was getting colder again. I don't think it took over 5 minutes to reach my lookout point. And when I did, I had a perfect view of the ground we'd covered. There was nothing there. The men were out of sight. And I waited. A minute. 2. There was nothing. Until... It came, carried on the wind, a cry and then shots. I scrambled back to where I'd left them. And when I got there... Frank was lying on his back. And I couldn't look at what was left of his face. There were terrible deep rents in his clothing, and he was dead. The song lay huddled a few feet beyond, a gun in his hand.
Son?
What is it? What?
Metokangmi came from behind us. Before I could draw the gun, it has killed, and it sprang at me. It is strong, son, with the strength of 10 men.
All right. All right, can you sit up?
My leg. It struck at me, my leg. broken. I shot at it, but I missed. It jumped away and was gone.
Okay. We'll have to figure out a way to get you down. We were 4 hours from camp, and with Nasang practically helpless, it could well be 4 days or never. I buried Frank where he was lying, then began to work down the slope. Nasang was in great pain. He half slid and crawled as best he could. That part of it wasn't too bad. Then we were at the bottom, and there was a ledge to climb. It took well over 2 hours to do that, and we still had 3 miles of difficult terrain to cover. The stops became more frequent.
Son, leave me here. Go back.
No.
My leg is frozen. There is no feeling anymore. I shall not live much longer.
Don't be a fool. After a rest, you'll be able to go on.
Soon the night comes. If we are both caught here, we both die. There will be snow, much snow. Leave me, son.
No, we're going back together.
Please, let me sleep. Let me sleep here. I cannot go on.
You've got to, Nasang.
No. No more.
The ridge is only about a half mile from there. It won't be too bad.
No. No, let me stay.
Nasang.
Let me sleep.
No. No, come on, Nasang. Come on, you're not going to sleep.
Son.
You'll be all right.
Behind you, son.
I turned, and for an instant I saw it outlined against the snow, crouching, of medium height. It was covered with thick hair. The face was reddish and bare, a semi-human face, and it was not an ape. The thing made a tremendous leap and was gone, but I hit it. I knew I hit it.
Mr. Conley, that was he. Did you kill it?
No, I don't think so.
Then it will be back. It has tasted blood. You must leave me.
No, get up. Get up. Come on. Let's go. Nasang.
I'm very sorry, sir. Will you ask the Lama to make a prayer for me?
Sure. Sure I will, Nasang, but...
I must pray to my wife in Darjeeling. I'm sorry, sir. I died.
Nasang? Nasang? And the darkness came, and with it shadows in the snow. Every hillock, mound became the thing, motionless, waiting. In my mind, I kept seeing it, its long arms, powerful, and the dreadful claws it must have possessed. I carried my gun in my gloved hand, but I knew that I couldn't fire it unless I was barehanded. And that meant my hand would freeze to the gun. And then suddenly I felt myself slipping. It was a short incline, but when I reached the bottom, the gun was gone. I'd lost it. I've got to find it. I've got to find it. And I saw a glint of metal in the snow 10 feet away. And at the same time, above me at the top of the bank, the thing. It stood swaying a little, looking down at me. I moved slowly, inched my way toward the gun. And as I drew closer, I kept my eyes looking up. But it didn't move, only stared down at me. And I thought I saw its little eyes glittering. And I thought, if the gun's frozen now, if it's frozen, it doesn't fire. And I was nearer to it, near enough to take off my glove. But that moment in which I'd have to bend to pick it up, that's when it would leap down at me, tear my throat out, tear, and I had the gun and I pulled the trigger. And it lay there, strange, terrifying, its blood staining the snow. Look at me. Looked at me. Until the sound died away. It was dead. But the eyes kept on staring. It must have been the shots that loosened the snow and ice on the ridge above. I heard the sound, and I ran. It passed me and swept on down toward the valley, the thunder of it dying in the distance. And when I went back, there was nothing there. It was buried somewhere under tons of snow. I made my way back to the Wrong Book Village. I don't remember how. I didn't remember anything the 2 weeks after. But I'm alive. And I'm not going back there again. That's all I know. Or want to know. About the Abominable Snowman.
Escape has brought you The Abominable Snowman, written and directed by Anthony Ellis, starring William Conrad as Lane. Featured in the cast were Anthony Barrett, Pye Averback, Jack Crucian, and Edgar Barrier. The special music for Escape was composed and conducted by Leith Stevens. Next week.
You are a passenger aboard a submarine making its last peaceful voyage across the sea. While unknown to you, the captain has a plan which, if it succeeds, will mean for you and the entire crew a fate from which there can be no escape.
So listen next week, when Escape will bring you Marion Mosner and Francis Rosenwald's exciting story, The Log. You're headed in the right direction. The station is right. The network is right, too. Check all timepieces, and then check your local radio schedule. Let's have no slip-ups. Everybody wants to hear the Jack Benny Show right from the beginning, when it returns to CBS Radio. This is Roy Rowan speaking. This is the CBS Radio Network.
the American Broadcasting Company Radio Network presents Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol. In today's transcribed Space Patrol adventure, Buzz and Happy are on the planet Darjeta, pursued by a band of Star News agents.
We're gaining on us, sir. We're almost to the top of the ridge. Then it'll be downhill to the ship. Look at us. We don't have any weapons. Stardew probably gave them orders to take us alive. From what we know of him, that isn't going to be the ticket. If we can keep this lead, we'll be saved. Hey, they have them. Here's the top of the ridge. Now a final spurt to the ship. Smoke rockets, Commander. Look. Our ship is gone.
We'll be back in a moment with today's exciting Space Patrol story, Planet of Discord. Medical science has conquered many frightening diseases in the past. Now scientists believe they may soon have control of the infantile paralysis. A trial polio vaccine has been developed and given to hundreds of people with no ill effects. To prove its effectiveness against paralysis, mass field tests will soon begin. Your generous contributions to the March of Dimes have brought the hope of final victory this near its goal. But many, many extra millions of dollars are needed to launch this crucial, what is hoped to be the final assault on polio. Your help now, with extra dimes and dollars, is the only hope for victory. Join the 1955 March of Dimes. Give extra. Give more than ever before. Send your dimes and dollars to your local March of Dimes headquarters. Now, today's Space Patrol adventure, Planet of Discord. Agents from the planet Darjeta are in the solar system searching for a jeweled crown that was hidden on the planet Earth centuries ago. Because of the secret and violent methods of the agents, Commander Corey has blocked all attempts to recover the crown, hoping to force all parties to the intrigue out into the open. Now, in Commander Corey's central office, Terra headquarters, Buzz places a report in a folder and hands it to Cadet Happy.
When you leave, have drop this off.
Yes, sir.
Oh, by the way, how's that kind of airplane? Is that the boss guy doing?
I thought his dad was a group called the League of the Green Serpent. Our families also afraid of us. I can't convince him that we don't torture or eliminate criminals, and even spies and other service systems. He told us the true names of other Stardew agents working on it. He doesn't know anything about the other faction, except that their agents are also off the planet Darjeta.
You know, sir, I've been thinking. Both sides of this thing either down and the other have the crown stay lost, and we're going to have the other side recover.
What's that?
One thing is, we'll never get the crown until it's fixed fine and causing trouble in our solar system. Hey, I'm going to get back here in 1,300 hours and get it going.
Well, don't forget this folder, Hank.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you want me to get a receipt from the distribution center?
No, it's not classified this way. Going to the feature editor of the United Planets News Service. He wanted some data for a special article.
Hey, Commander, I'll be going right past the news service office. I could deliver it myself and stay checking.
Oh, okay. Thanks a lot.
It's okay, Commander. I'll see you at 1,400.
After a hearty lunch at Space Patrol Commissary, Cadet Happy strolls through the Terra City Park on his way to the new service building. As Happy walks along, he tosses small pieces of bread to the ever-hungry pigeons that flock around him.
Hey, Pop, sir. Give that little guy a chair. Here, sir. This is for you. You want more or not? I was just talking to the pigeons.
Yes, I see there. Everybody else in the park seems to be in a bit of rest. I was wondering if you'd do me a favor. Do you know anything about these microfilm cameras? I want to take a picture of the top or whatever. But the film I was thinking how to be low.
Oh, that's easy. You got a new roll of film? Okay. All you do is slide the cartridge into the little round hole in that film, right? Then you press this lever that we need to protect the screen and start the film for the cartridge.
Yes, I know. It's a rivet camera, and I didn't want to tamper with it.
You have to open the thing and roll it behind. And you better get out of the straight camera.
My circus car's right over there. Will it be dark enough inside?
Oh, yeah, you could make sort of a tent out of your jacket and we're in business. fool around with cameras anyway. It's probably dark there. Oh, this will be fine. I think I can shield it in the top. Great idea. I'm sure lucky you found it out. First, we'll pick up a little bit first. I see what the trouble is. Before I threaten a new film, he'll take a look. That's what happens when I press this lever. Watching. Now you'll be nice and comfortable and invisible. All right, Cadet. Inside. Go over there and sit down. Who are you? We'll find that out later. Now sit down. That's it. Got it. Those were Charlie's orders. You put him? Anyone see him? No. I lured him into the car and slugged him. Now he's partially under sex control. We'll do anything I can. We'll take that uniform off him and get him into civilian clothes. Rod, are you all ready to leave? Don't tell me. You didn't pack that space plane. I thought you might want to contact Charlie. We'll do that after we blast off without you then. All right. I'll put the space plane in the case. Say that to the last. Just make sure we haven't left any evidence in the other room. It's cleaned out, boy. If there's a slip-up, Charlie will hold me responsible. What about the cadet? He's still driving on the power of it. And he's partly under sight power. He won't lose on the phone. Just the same, I won't feel easy, so we'll send him over to Charlie like this. Cadet, take off that uniform and get into these clothes. Come on, get up. Okay. What about those papers the cadet was carrying? Just general information, nothing secret. Still, it might be helpful to start here. We'll take them around. Well, Cadet, I suppose you're expecting to be rescued any minute now. What do you mean? You know what's that, Corey. And that isn't going to stop us. We've got a spaceship ready at the spaceport. It's an emergency ship, Cadet. Standing by for 2 doctors and an assistant. We're rushing some vaccine to Saturn City Hospital. That's us. We're going to a lot of trouble for nothing. I don't know where that clown is, and if that phony would-be emperor, Star B, thinks that they're learning defense secrets from me, he's crazy. You know why? Because I don't know any big secrets. And that, gentlemen, is just one of the advantages of being a cadet. Oh, well, that's cadet. You don't think we put any value on anything like thick skull of yours, do you? Oh, now, wait just a minute. Corey, we won't. It was just what we wanted you to do. Well, Corey, you're being taken without Peter. Huh? You've done something our best agents couldn't do today. You've led Commander Corey right into Chardy's clutches. Acting quickly after receiving the spacephone message from Happy, Commander Corey alerted the spaceport and then blasted off in the Terra 5 in order to be spaceborne in the event Chardy's agents evaded the guard. Circling within the viewscope in the Terra City spaceport, Buzz monitors the Space Patrol frequencies and those used by Darjita agents. As he speaks to the Terra Space Control operator, the answers come back in code to prevent interception by Shardu's spies.
If you're sure every ship has been checked, then Happy must still be on Terra. I'll remain spaceborne. Something's coming on one of Darjita's frequencies. I'll call you back. Hurry up.
Okay, Miss Shardu. The plan works. Our first ship stands through the Terra space rocket. Get to the board. Speed and flux from Darjita.
Manicoria, aboard Terra 5, calling Space Control Terra. I'm setting a hyperspace vector for Darjita. I'll try to contact you when I come out of Star Drive. Corey out.
Little luck, I may be able to take that ship before it reaches Darjita.
I can help you tonight.
What?
Don't make a move until I tell you. I don't want to use this gun.
How'd you get aboard?
The mechanics cover all help. Russell is suspension of a guard by sight fire.
And you're one of Shardu's men.
No, Commander. I am Peto, the sworn enemy of Shardu. I am of the Legion of the Green Serpent.
In that case, you'll help me rescue Happy from Shardu's agents.
Certainly. The cadet was abducted nearly 6 years into Shardu's trap on Darjita. I am here to prevent that.
Thanks, Peto. In that case, you can put away the gun.
You don't understand, Commander. My method of keeping you out of Shardu's hands is to destroy you both.
We'll return to Space Patrol in just a moment. Boys and girls, here's a little prize. How long does it take to cross the street? 5 seconds? 10 seconds? Well, that may be the right answer if you're careful to cross the corner and wait for the traffic light. But if you cross in the middle of the block, it may take weeks to get to the other side. Yes, weeks. Weeks spent in the hospital or in bed at home with the broken bones and bruises that come from being in an automobile accident. Don't forget, the motorist doesn't expect to find anyone in the middle of the block. He may not be able to stop in time. That's why it may take weeks from the moment you start across the street until you finally reach the other side. The seconds you might save isn't worth those weeks you might lose, so be careful. Cross with the light and only at corners. Remember, the life you save may be your own. Now, back to today's Space Patrol adventure, Planet of Discord. 2 of Shardu's agents have captured Cadet Happy and are taking him to the planet Darjita. Their real goal is to lure Commander Corey into a trap. With carefully contrived carelessness, they have permitted Buzz to learn their destination, knowing that he would follow them to rescue Happy. As the commander was about to put the Terra 5 into Star Drive for the trip to Darjita, a stranger stepped into the control compartment and held Buzz at gunpoint. He revealed himself as Pleto, a member of a faction that opposes Shardu's attempt to become Emperor of Darjita. Pleto has vowed to destroy Buzz and Happy.
Happy and I aren't involved in your affairs in Darjita. What good will it do to get rid of us?
Shardu's agents have gone to great pains to let it be known that Shardu abducted Cadet Happy. If neither of you return, your government will hold Shardu responsible.
You expect the United Planets to help your gang into power, perhaps even use force to put down this Shardu and his followers.
But why not? You have had no trouble with our league, only with Shardu's agents.
Just who is the rightful government of Darjita? Who's in power now?
The League of the Green Serpent has been in control for several years. Then this upstart Shardu started his rebel-rousing campaign to restore the Empire.
That's what I hear, Peto. Your gang wants the crown, too.
Yes. To a large part of our population, the crown is a symbol. There is a legend to the effect that the crown gives the person who wears it infinite wisdom and the power to rule with justice and mercy. When we get to Darjita, we will force you to tell me where the crown is. And with the weapons aboard the ship, delete and conquer Shardu. And then, Commander, you will be eliminated.
But Cadet Happy, you can at least save him.
Everything. Set a vector for Darjita. Do you know where it is?
Its orbit circles a star near Antares, right?
Yes. Locina. Do as I say and ask no questions. Remember, your mind is no longer entirely your own. As we have talked, energy from my mind has steadily overpowered yours. The sight force, you know.
Yes. The vector for Darjita is set up.
All right, Corey. Put into Star Drive, and don't try anything. How long does this last?
Until they come out of hyperspace. Isn't this the way your Darjita interstellar drive works?
Yes, it's something like it. But not quite. It feels rather strange.
It does?
But I am not blacking out, if that's what you're hoping. Just remember, between the sight pulse and the gun, I am master here, mentally and physically.
We're coming out of Star Drive now.
For your own good, Corey, I hope you didn't make any mistakes computing the backdoor.
Well, there's a star glaring through the starboard viewport. Recognize it?
It looks like looking, all right.
The greenish Class B star. It's about 40 million DUs away.
It's looking, huh? And look in the viewscope. There is Darjita.
You sure?
Will you think I know my own home planet when I see it?
There's something else in the viewscope, too. A spaceship.
We'll go after it. It's probably Shardy's agents with the Cadet.
If we can see them, they can probably see us.
Well, what of it? They're expecting you. But don't get too close. Let's see if we can figure out what they're up to.
Agent Bourvain calling Shardy. Agent Bourvain calling Shardy.
Scott, may report for it.
We have emerged from Star Drive and are now approaching Darjita.
Excellent. Has Corey followed?
I assume so.
Here are your orders for it. There is a work camp in the Cadet now constructing power relay towers. Those men are all loyal to me. Stand there and remain until you hear from me.
Very well, Shardy.
And guard the Cadet carefully. As long as we have him, we can afford Corey to help us locate the ground and to operate the weapons in the ship. Are your instructions clear?
Yes, Shardu. I will obey them to the letter. Bourvain out.
The ship's landing, but it's heading down hundreds of miles from the city.
They can pick up their spacephone signals. Plato, do you know what frequency they'd be using?
No.
Maybe that's not Bourvain's ship.
Yes, it is. I recognize it as the one I saw at the terrorist spaceport.
Can't figure this out. Bourvain did everything he could to let me know he was taking Happy to Darjita. Didn't you think they'd keep feeding me clues or lead me into Shardu's trap?
It is strange. Perhaps Shardu has changed his plan. It could be that Happy is of more use personally than Shardu originally thought. That must be it. The Cadet is no longer bait to trap you. He's important in himself.
Well, let's get him away from Bourvain. That looks like a wild, uninhabited region. We wouldn't have many against us.
No, Corey. Whatever secrets the Cadet knows, he will never reveal to Shardy. You are going to blast that ship with your atom cannon.
Crazy, Plato.
You will do as I say. A fast, slow approach will take them completely by surprise. You heard me, Corey. You can't resist the sight pulse, so don't try it.
It'll have to be a fast approach.
I know. You are completely under my control now, Corey. Prepare your weapons and increase velocity.
Anything you say, Plato. How's this? Is this fast enough?
Corey, wait. There is too much acceleration. I am blacking out.
Just in case you don't, maybe this will help.
In a crude work shack in the mountains of Darjita,
Cadet Happy quietly tests the strength of the ropes that hold him securely to a chair. Across the room, Orvane stares anxiously at the spaceophone receiver.
I should have heard from Shardu by now. Corey must be near that.
Why don't you call Shardu and find out?
Because my orders are to wait.
Something may have happened. You never can tell, Orvane. Maybe the League of the Green Serpent is up to something.
You shut up. I know what you're up to. You're trying to get me worried, so I'll make a spaceophone call. And maybe your pal Corey will pick up the signal.
Okay. Sit there and chew your nails.
Jardo knows what he's doing. And there's no use of your trying to loosen those ropes, Cadet. Even if you get out of this shack, there are 40 men in this construction unit that'll hunt you down.
Oh, I'm not trying to get loose. I like it here.
Yes, I'll bet you do. But just remember, there's nothing around here but mountains and dry brush. Even if you did escape, there's nothing to eat. You'd starve or die of exposure.
Warning. Come on.
Rock, what's the matter?
There's a fire down in the supply dump. The wind's carrying it right toward the camp. Let's go.
It's not our job. We don't belong to this crew.
The chief wants every able-bodied man down there in a hurry. There's explosives in the supply dump. The fire gets much closer to...
all right. How about the cadet? We can put him to work, too.
No, it's too much trouble to keep an eye on him. Leave him tied up. Come on.
All right.
Rope a little bit more. Commander!
Hi. You alone here?
Yes, sir. Orvane and Rob, they rushed out to fight a fire.
I'll take it easy. I had to cut loose or something.
How did you land without anybody seeing you?
Came in low on the other side of the ridge.
I'm sure lucky that fire broke out, or you never could have gotten into camp.
I know. I started it. Hey, let's go. Keep your head down, Hap. The farther we get from that camp without their seeing us, the better.
They're all too busy fighting that fire.
Orvane, he sees us.
And he's got a gang with him.
Hurry, Hap.
Wow, they're closer than I thought.
We make it to the top of the ridge. We'll be in the clear.
Get them all! Don't let them get away!
Hap, there are 4 men closing in on our right.
They're gaining on us, sir.
We're almost at the top of the ridge. Then it'll be downhill to the ship.
It's lucky for us they don't have any weapons.
Shardu probably gave them orders to take us alive.
From what we know of him, that isn't going to be any picnic.
If we can keep this lead, we'll be safe.
Wow, they have got weapons.
There's the top of the ridge. Our final spurt to the ship.
Smoking rockets, Commander, look. Our ship is gone.
Right on. Must have broken out of the compartment and blasted off.
Now what are we going to do?
Keep running. It's downhill for us, and they're still climbing.
Even if we get away from that mob, then what?
We'll worry about that later. Hap.
Yes, sir?
What's down there? Look at that. The shadow is still there.
The shadow left behind. That's why she must have blasted off in a hurry.
It didn't blast off. The ship is still there. Just can't see it. Somebody's using his transport service. Hey, run for the shadow.
There they are! After them!
They're at the top of the ridge.
Stop before they reach the ship!
Hear that, sir? They see the ship.
Hurry, Hap. When you're there, Happy.
I can't believe it. The ship is there.
It has to be, or there wouldn't be a shadow.
Come on, men!
How can we find the airlock of an invisible ship?
Reach out. Touch the hull.
Hey, I can see it. It's real.
Up the ladder, into the ship, quickly. Close the hatch. I'll blast off. Okay, Hap. Stand by for blast off.
Standing by, sir.
Close port. Close port. Fire jet.
Fire jet.
Up, ship and away.
We made it.
We're still in Shardu's domain. We can expect more trouble.
Now that I'm back in the pair of ties, I'm not worried. Why was it we couldn't see the ship until we touched it?
Whoever was working that sight course on us must have been concentrating on our sense of sight. Our sense of touch broke, really.
Oh. Well, I'd better check the goose books for Darjeeta's ship.
Bring Plato up here, Happy. May need him. He's locked his compartment there.
There he is, sir. He acts kind of groggy, but I'll keep him covered.
Right, Happy. Well, Plato, was that invisibility trick some of your work?
Yes. It really took all my strength.
What was the idea?
I figured if nobody could find the ship, I'd have a chance to break out of this compartment. I was concentrating on every detail of the tether find and projecting the idea that it didn't exist. If you don't think that stuff works, try it sometime.
You did a good job of it, Shadow. Except for one thing.
What was that?
You forgot the shadow.
Shadow of Dardina calling Commander Corey aboard the Terra 5.
Shadow? Keep an eye on Shadow. See what Sardis up to.
Shadow of Dardina calling Commander Corey. I have an apology to make and some good news for you.
Commander Corey to Shadow. Go ahead.
Greetings, Commander. By the strength of your signal, you must be very close to our planet, Dardina.
You mentioned some news, Shadow.
Yes, but first, my sincere apologies for afflicting you that happy. My stupid agents acted without my knowledge, and they are being punished. You will find your ship in safe port of Kelso City. Happy will be returned to you safe and sound.
Fine. If you've got Happy there, may I speak to him?
Well, Commander, I gave him a hearty dinner and asked to sleep in my own private quarters.
I see. And you'll have him at the spaceport, huh?
Oh, of course. I'll wake him up very shortly. What was that?
It's me, Shadow. Cadet Happy. I guess I talk in my sleep.
You picked me.
We'd like to say goodbye, Shadow, but if you still want trouble, we'll be seeing you. A preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure in just a moment. Here's an important announcement for all college men. If you qualify as an aviation cadet, you can become a commissioned officer in the United States Air Force with earnings of more than $5,000 a year. As an aviation cadet, you'll get the most thorough training in the world in the new field of jet aviation. You'll be flying jets yourself within 18 months, flying easily and safely. You'll be a skilled jet pilot with a new world of aviation before you. If you're between the ages of 19 and 26 and a half, single and have 2 years of college, you can qualify for this training and for a wonderful jet future. Visit your nearest United States Air Force base or recruiting station and talk it over. Now a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. Buzz and Happy are on the planet Saturn, searching for agents from Dargida. Investigating an apparently deserted scrap metal yard, Happy glances up at a crane control tower.
The tower looks empty, Commander.
And the men we're after must be in the buildings at the other end of the yard. Come on.
Uh-oh. What's that?
The crane. Someone started the electromagnetic crane.
Commander, look. It's swinging right over our heads. The magnet with scrap metal hanging from it.
Somebody is in that tower, Hap. If they cut the current, that metal will fall and crush it. Be with us next week for the thrilling Space Patrol story, The Conquest of Dargida. Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Helen Moser. Other players were Ken Mayer, Bela Kovac, and Norman Jolly. Dick Wesson speaking. This program is broadcast to our armed forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.